Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Konoha, Harem Chat Group, I Can Make Up the Future. Chapter 81. Just tell me, what do you want me to do to satisfy you the most? Little Sakura has lost her patience. The increasing pressure has brought her to the brink of collapse. She growled at Muumuu. The girls in the chat group felt the same way. While they sympathized with little Sakura, they were also very nervous. Although it seemed that nothing had happened, the huge pressure on little Sakura in the live video could also be transmitted to them through the screen. Little Sakura has taught them a lesson of blood and tears this time. In the future, even if they talk nonsense in the group, they must be careful and not have any bad thoughts towards Muumuu. Your attitude is not okay. On the stage, Muumuu shook his finger at little Sakura and said, "You have to understand that I am not forcing you to do this and you are not doing this for me. If you can't even correct your attitude, no matter what I say or what you do, it will be meaningless in the end." After that, Muumuu murmured to himself in a low voice, "This is my dream, right? Shouldn't it develop in a good direction? Why do I feel that this little Sakura is completely opposite to the type 1 like? This is not what I want. Forget it, it's just a dream. If it can't be simple and direct, what's the point of coming here? Waste so much saliva. It's better to go back and find Hinata, she is a good baby, too cute." Although Muumuu lowered his voice very low, this space seemed to be more unique, and the voice was very clear to the ears of little Sakura. Her expression froze instantly. If Muumuu really ran away because of the trouble, how could she complete her mission? Wouldn't she really be trapped here for the rest of her life? Hinata. It turns out that Muumuu likes Hinata's type, maybe I can give it a try. Little Sakura took a deep breath, and in order to leave this hellhole, she decided to go all out. What could be more terrifying than being trapped here forever? Isn't it just about having a correct attitude? Isn't it just about devoting yourself to Muumuu wholeheartedly? She can do it. Little Sakura began to strengthen her belief and kept giving herself hypnosis in her mind. Yes, she no longer likes Sasuke, but Muumuu. No, she has always liked Muumuu since she was very young, and can do anything for Muumuu and can give everything for him. With this idea in mind, little Sakura's face changed to a loving expression, and she twisted her body to come to Muumuu's side. She lowered her head slightly, her fingers kept twisting the corners of her clothes, and said in a whispering tone, Muumuu-kun, I really don't know what to do, can you please teach me? No matter what you do, I will definitely try my best to cooperate. Hyuga Hinata. This. Yamanaka Ino. I didn't expect that Muumuu-kun likes Hinata's style, can I also learn it? Tiantian. Soft and cute girl type. I learned it, I'll do it next time. Uzumaki Karen. For Muumuu-kun, I can learn anything. Hinata, we will be best friends from now on. Hyuga Hinata. Don't say that, I feel so shy. Yamanaka Ino. Hinata, you have improved a lot. If it were before, you would have fainted by now. Tiantian. I always feel that little Sakura is a bit of an imitator, but at least she has corrected her attitude now, maybe she really found the right method. At this time, on the stage, little Sakura finally put down her dignity and changed her attitude, which made Muumuu feel relieved. This little Sakura is too difficult to deal with. If she still can't face the reality, I really plan to give up. Anyway, for him, little Sakura's personality is really not what he likes. Keeping her is just to complete the stamp collection of the 4 flowers of Konoha. Well, that's right, Muumuu thought to himself, and he didn't care about showing it on his face. He pinched little Sakura's chin and said calmly, as for appearance, it's a little worse. As for the figure, it's average. Not to mention compared with Hinata, even Ino and Tenten can't compare. In the chat group, Ino and Tenten were so happy, and Hinata was also very happy. 10 beats the tense atmosphere just now. Little Sakura's face suddenly darkened, and she raised her hand to slap Muumuu's hand away. But just when she raised her hand halfway, she forced herself to suppress her violent temper and put on a sweet smile again, but the corners of her mouth still couldn't help twitching slightly. Muumuu, don't say that. Little Sakura said in a soft tone, I can do anything for you. It really hurts me that you evaluate me like this. Muumuu nodded and said with satisfaction, although you said that, I have to test you first. Now, use the best way you can think of to please me, so that I can feel your heart. Little Sakura paused slightly. When it comes to the point, some resistance is inevitable. Since there is no sincerity, forget it, don't force it. Muumuu sighed with a little disappointment. In fact, I still miss Hinata more, she is really obedient. I do it. Little Sakura immediately interrupted Muumuu loudly, and the next moment she immediately returned to the appearance of a soft and cute girl, saying delicately, but I really don't know anything, I don't have any experience, I hope Muumuu can give me some advice. Muumuu can feel that little Sakura really doesn't hesitate or struggle this time. In this case, I can barely experience it, give her a chance. If she can have such an attitude at the beginning, how can so many things happen? Of course, if this is the case, little Sakura will no longer be little Sakura. A person who is different from the original character, what is the difference between him and a passerby? Muumuu quickly gathered his thoughts and began to teach little Sakura in a simple and easy to understand way. This is the group system space, which is protected by the system. So even if there is any serious trauma, it can be repaired by using the system rules. In reality, Muumuu can't take action, but here he doesn't have to worry about anything. This is also the signal conveyed to him by the group system. Zhao Zhao is good, of course, the group system pulled little Sakura here for severe punishment, not just to let Muumuu take action against her. So in the following time, several little girls in the chat group were completely stunned. Hinata couldn't stay awake anymore, and she fainted. From the live broadcast screen, it can be seen that the video seems to have suddenly turned on the playback speed, and the characters in it are moving faster and faster. The time is several times faster than in reality, sometimes even dozens of times faster. Only an hour has passed in reality, but it seems that several days have passed inside. In other words, although little Sakura corrected her attitude and started to work hard to complete the task, she still couldn't raise Muumuu's satisfaction value in a short period of time, so she could only keep working hard. In order to prevent the real time from passing too long, the group system changed the speed of time in the system space. The ability of this system is so terrifying. Muumuu and little Sakura have been in the group system space for 5 days. In this space, they don't need to eat or sleep, they are always full of energy and in the best spirit. This is hard for little Sakura. At first, she wanted to leave this space as soon as possible, so she gritted her teeth in hypnosis and devoted herself to it. Then she learned all kinds of knowledge under Muumuu's guidance and devoted everything she had. At that time, both her own and Muumuu's satisfaction values soared at a very fast speed, which made little Sakura see hope. Although the audience's satisfaction value increased slowly, it was also steadily increasing. Little Sakura gave everything, learned all the knowledge that Muumuu could learn, and even put it all into action, completely putting herself in the most humble position. Her own satisfaction value was max, and there was no trend of decline. Muumuu's satisfaction value was only 90%, and the remaining 10% was no progress at all. What made little Sakura most depressed was that the audience satisfaction rate was only 60%. She had done so much, but she still couldn't satisfy everyone. Even Muumuu's satisfaction rate was not full, even if she wanted to choose the first option given by the system, she failed to meet the standard. In distress, little Sakura could only ask Muumuu for advice again, and here she could only discuss with Muumuu. For me, what you have done now is good enough, and it has reached the limit of what you can do. I am quite satisfied. Muumuu's words were sincere. Compared with before and after, little Sakura is absolutely well behaved and lovely now, and she is wholeheartedly devoted to him, so she can't be picky. And little Sakura may be a little too deep into the play. As the two sides communicate frequently, little Sakura's eyes looking at Muumuu gradually have a little more love from the depths of her soul, which can't be pretended. But if that's the case, why can't your satisfaction rate be max? You are lying to me. Little Sakura looked aggrieved. Now that she is familiar with Muumuu's preferences, such words can only be regarded as coquetry, not fabrication. Muumuu hugged her and chuckled. I am not lying to you. What I just said is only for my personal feelings. But the calculation method of this satisfaction value is not based on my subjective thoughts. Don't you understand it yet? Little Sakura was stunned for a moment, and said with a bitter face, what should I do? If even you don't know the reason, can I really not get out in this life? Seeing the 3 progress bars rising continuously, she has decided to choose the second option. Even if she will be laughed at and looked at with strange eyes if she stays in the group. But if she is expelled from the group and her memory is cleared after paying so much, the loss will be even greater. Since there is a chance, she will certainly choose the lesser of 2 evils. Fortunately, Muumuu changed the subject and said, I just said that satisfaction is not based on my personal feelings, not that I don't know the reason. Don't worry, since you have come this far, no matter what, I will definitely help you escape this cage. Although I have been in the dream for a long time, I like to do things from beginning to end. If I can't continue to the end, I will feel regretful when I wake up from the dream. Little Sakura really wants to ask him, does he still feel like he is in a dream until now? She has paid everything, and when she returns to reality, will the 2 of them just pretend that nothing happened? However, the existence of the chat group is a taboo, and little Sakura dare not reveal it casually. If she is punished again, she will not have time to cry. So, little Sakura can only pretend that she didn't hear Muuumuu's mumbling behind him, hugging his arm and shaking it, and said in a soft voice, Muumuu, Master, Dad, please tell me, as long as I can leave here, I will serve you wholeheartedly in the future. Okay, I will fall apart when I see you again. Even if you don't beg me, I will tell you. Muumuu didn't keep it a secret, and quickly said, I said before that you have done your best to the limit you can reach, but no one can be perfect. The only thing you lack now is that you are still a little reluctant. Little Sakura wrinkled her nose and snorted. I have already done even your most excessive request, and you almost hurt me to death with those tools. Is this called reluctant? If she said she couldn't let go, she would be really wrong. During the few days that little Sakura has been here, she feels that there is no woman in the whole ninja world who is more depraved than her. Not in this aspect. Muumuu pointed to the audience who had been acting as the background board under the stage and said, haven't you noticed that no matter what you do recently, the audience's satisfaction value has not increased? The problem lies with them. Little Sakura was stunned for a moment, and then her eyebrows were full of joy and expectation. Muumuu, you mean that you know why they are not satisfied, and if you solve this problem, your satisfaction value can also meet the standard. That's what I mean. Muumuu smiled and nodded. Muumuu is great, you are the best, the most powerful in the world, and the hero I admire the most. Little Sakura now speaks kind words, and they are from the heart. She jumped up happily, put her arms around Muuumuu's neck, kissed him hard, and then asked, tell me quickly, tell me what to do. Muumuu smiled and whispered his thoughts in her ear. Ah, is this really necessary? Little Sakura's face flushed red. This was even worse than the most extreme thing Muumuu had ever done to her, and she was even more embarrassed. But things had already progressed to this point, and even if little Sakura was angry, she had no reason to back down. So next, she began to do what Muumuu said, and even performed beyond her normal level. To her delight, Muumuu was right, and his satisfaction level was rising, and the audience's satisfaction level was also rising rapidly. Muumuu looked at little Sakura, who had now completely turned into his own shape, and not to mention his satisfaction level, even his inner satisfaction was almost max. What he told little Sakura was that although little Sakura had devoted herself wholeheartedly before, she still had some regrets, and often subconsciously covered her sight to avoid the audience's gaze. But now, she had completely let go, and even appeared vividly in front of everyone. When she did this, what she saw in front of her were not those blurred figures that served as background boards, but people she was familiar with in reality. That feeling made her want to find a crack in the ground to crawl into. However, deep in her heart, there was a strong sense of stimulation that kept hitting her. Little Sakura knew that she had learned bad things. After being punished this time, even if she left this space, she would never be able to go back to the past. She knew all this clearly, but she enjoyed it all, and there was no way to change it by her own will. The chat group of women, after seeing this, everyone had their own thoughts in their hearts. But it was rare that no one looked down on little Sakura, and deep in their hearts, they even had a little envy. After all, she had been alone with Muumuu for a long time. After staying in the group system space for another 3 days, little Sakura finally filled up all 3 satisfaction bars, and perfectly completed the second choice given to her by the group system. Great! Little Sakura was so happy that she hugged Muumuu and kissed him madly, and said with a happy face, "Muumuu, I love you so much." Finally, she can leave this place. She swears that she will never be punished by the system for the 3rd time in her lifetime. Muujia is a little regretful. Little Sakura is a little smaller. But after getting along with him for these days, he is worshipped like a landlord. After leaving here, without such a girl, I may not get used to it. After all, it is easy to go from frugality to luxury, but it is difficult to go from luxury to frugality. Soon, the two disappeared in the group system space at the same time, without even having time to say hello. Everything in the space is fictional, and as the two left, everything was like a dream bubble, shattered. Yamanaka Ino. Fortunately, this is also a happy ending. Tenten. From now on, little Sakura is our sister, no need to question. Hyuga Hinata. Yes, Uzumaki Karen. Hinata, you woke up. What I want to say is that I envy little Sakura so much. How about I find a way to break the group rules? Hyuga Hinata. Yamanaka Ino. Your idea is very bold, but how do you control the depth? If it is shallow, like little Sakura is the first. Okay, skip this topic, I support you. Uzumaki Karen. Then forget it, I have to keep my virginity for the Muumuu group. Ding. Congratulations to group member Haruno Sakura, the level has been upgraded from LV2 to LV8. The gain effect has been increased from 250% to 600%. Just then, a prompt sound from the group system made several girls in the group stare wide-eyed. Yamanaka Ino. Tenten. Hyuga Hinata. Uzumaki. Yamanaka Ino. No, I was still worried about her, but I was the clown. Tenten. So, little Sakura is a blessing in disguise. LV8, how long will it take me to reach this level? The buff effect is 6 times, too heaven-defying. Uzumaki. No, I really have to think of a way to actively violate the group rules. Hyuga Hinata. Little Sakura, congratulations. Haruno Sakura. 600% buff. I feel like I can kill several tigers with one punch now. Hehehe, everyone, I am the big sister now. Yamanaka Ino. Big sister. Don't forget, your 2 videos are still hanging there. Haruno Sakura. You can enjoy it as you like. I believe you will only feel jealousy and hatred in your heart. Ho 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 ho. Tiantian. It's over. This child can never go back. Yamanaka Ino. Are you still the little Sakura I knew? Haruno Sakura. I can tell you for sure that you are not. Now I have been reborn and washed away. From now on, call me Mu Sakura. Yamanaka Ino. Tiantian. In fact, little Sakura, who had returned home and lay on her bed, was not as proud as she showed in the group. After staying in the group system space for 8 days, she felt like she had a very long dream after coming back, and even felt like she had experienced a life reincarnation. Now that she is back, she can't tell which is the dream and which is the reality. So she was so arrogant in the group, but in fact she was just venting her complicated emotions. But there is one thing that little Sakura did not lie, she really doesn't care about those 2 videos being seen by others. In the next 3 days in the group system space, little Sakura had completely thrown away her heart. Not to mention that it was just for the sisters in the group to watch the video. Even if she was asked to do it again with Muumuu in front of the sisters, she could do it without blushing or panting. 6 times the gain effect. Little Sakura clenched her fists, feeling the sudden surge of strength in her body, and murmured, with my current physical fitness, even if I can't compare to the special Jonin, it should be almost the same, right? With 6 times the comprehension and talent, if I can find a teacher willing to teach me, I will soon become an excellent ninja who can stand on my own, or even an elite ninja. All this is brought by Master Daddy. From now on I will work hard for Master Daddy. Wait, I have returned to reality, not in the space of punishment. I should return to myself. Master Daddy what? Why do I miss him so much after just separating? Although little Sakura's temperament changed drastically, it was difficult for several girls in the chat group to adapt and accept it for a while. But at least she stayed, and she also took advantage of this to make the group level explode, so the girls naturally no longer worried about her. In their opinion, little Sakura's change was only temporary. After all, it was a punishment of that level, and no one could adjust back immediately. Yamanaka Ino. By the way, I was interrupted by this matter and almost forgot that a new person was added to the group just now, right? Yamanaka Ino. At Fuzzy Takiwa, what's the situation with the new person? After so long, you should have studied the chat group, right? Do you want to introduce yourself first and then show a photo? Tiantian. Judging from the appearance of the group owner, the time for the appearance of the CG should be 3 or 4 years from now. The new person should look like he is in his 20s at that time, and he is about 20 now. Muumuu, who had also returned home, naturally saw the message in the group, but he didn't want to deal with it yet. Like little Sakura, he had been in the group system space for a long time, and he needed to adjust himself. Besides, it is getting late now, and the push time of future videos will be refreshed soon. Although I have thought about the content of this video before, I have to reorganize my thoughts after hanging out with little Sakuras for 8 days. Fortunately, he was the one who took the initiative before, and except that he felt that he had been on vacation for too long and his mind was a little scattered, the impact on him was not very big. After carefully organizing for a while, I quickly sorted out my thoughts and compiled the previously imagined content into a future video, and then clicked to push it. Ding! The group system pushed a future clip, future video 6.avi, which has been saved to the group file. At the same time, all the girls in the group received a system prompt. Except Anko, who fell asleep early due to Muumuu's tossing, everyone else kept watching the refresh point as usual. At this time, the system prompt sounded, and everyone was refreshed and immediately started clicking to watch. The video begins. In the Hokage office, Danzo and 2 consultants approached the 3rd generation. They got the news that a new genin had a person who was suspected to have the orthodox wood style and came to question the 3rd generation. The 3rd generation had already covered up all traces and issued the highest gag order, but unfortunately the news still leaked out. The 3rd generation sighed in their hearts, but as a Hokage, he couldn't lie, so he could only admit it and briefly tell them the information about Muumuu. Regardless of Muumuu's identity or his ability, Danzo and the 2 consultants agreed that he must be strictly monitored and not allowed to access the core secrets of the village. Danzo even strongly requested that Muumuu be handed over to him. The 3rd generation rejected their proposal. He believed that Muumuu had the will of fire and was a trustworthy companion, and wanted to personally train him to be his successor, so that he could, 373, protect the village after he abdicated. The 3rd generation is now very old, but the village is in a period of transition and basically cannot find a suitable successor. The appearance of Muumuu gives him hope. As long as Muumuu can change into his shape, his identity is not a concern at all. Because the 3rd generation is determined, Danzo and the others can't be dissatisfied. So they mentioned another thing. The Chunin exam is about to begin. Because it is held by multiple ninja villages, the situation may be more chaotic, and there may be people who fish in troubled waters and have bad intentions. The 3rd generation has made several preparations and plans to let Muumuu register as a new genin, but in fact, it is to guard against candidates with other purposes. Danzo already knew about this in advance. At his strong request, he planted a nail and formed a team with Muumuu to participate in the registration. This is not a big deal. Danzo's attitude is firm, and the 3rd generation can only agree. So, apart from himself and Karen, the only person in the team that Muumuu was in when he took the Chunin exam was from the root, Danzo's subordinate, and the one who was named Sai in the original work. Yamanaka Ino. Is this a high-level meeting of the village? I always feel that those 3 elders are a bit annoying. Tenten. That Danzo with bandages all over his body has some radical ideas. It seems that he is not in the same camp as the 3rd generation. Is he a political enemy? Hyuga Hinata. Well, is there any problem with Muumuu's identity? Why are they so afraid? Uzumaki Karen. Don't hand Muumuu over to that Danzo. He is not a good person at first glance. Tenten. I think there may be some special secrets of the previous generation that we don't know. Tenten. The group leader has the blood of Senju and Uchiha, and his strength is strong and his potential is amazing. They are worried that when the group leader grows up, he will be bad for them. Yamanaka Ino. It seems that these elders may have some special secrets about Senju or Uchiha. Uchiha did something bad and felt guilty. Tenten. That should be the case. Now that I think about it, although the Senju clan hides their surnames, they are at least the clan of the first generation and second generation. Tenten. But in all these years, except for Master Tsunade, I don't think I've heard of any other Senju clan members showing up. If it weren't for the fact that the group leader was found to have Senju blood, we wouldn't even have noticed this clan. Yamanaka Ino. And the Uchiha clan, I heard that they were exterminated overnight. Even the elderly, children, and all ordinary people in the family died, leaving only Sasuke. I didn't think much about it before, but now it seems that it has something to do with these elders. Haruno Sakura. I advise you Lichi. No matter what secrets the village has, you are just genin now. Yamanaka Ino. Tenten. I didn't say anything. Hyuga Hinata. I hope Muumuu-kun will not become an enemy of Konoha in the future. Uzumaki Karen. Anyway, no matter what, I will definitely stand by Muumuu-kun. The video screen continues. In the Forest of Death, Sai quickly left the team and acted alone. He recalled the task that Danzo had given him, to explore Muumuu's ability and strength, and to destroy the bond between Muumuu and other people in the village by any means possible. Sai asked the reason at that time, and although he was scolded by Danzo, he still got the answer. In Danzo's opinion, the ability of wood style is too advanced. If Muumuu has any disloyalty, it will be a time bomb that will cause damage to the leaf. People are different. Because of different growth environments and different people they come into contact with, their ideas will be very different. The more bonds Muumuu builds, the more complicated his mind will be, and the more ideas he will have. Maybe because of some friends' unfair treatment, he became dissatisfied with the village. Only those who abandon their feelings like their root organization can be qualified ninjas. Danzo wants Muumuu to be spurned and isolated by everyone, and then take advantage of the situation to throw out an olive branch and bring Muumuu into the root organization for monitoring. Sai is still unwavering in Danzo's orders and has basically no ideas of his own, so after listening to Danzo's words, he firmly believes that this is the best choice for the village and naturally does not hesitate to execute Danzo's orders. Sai found Orochimaru in the Death Forest and followed him secretly. Before Anko met him, he met Orochimaru in advance and gave Orochimaru a letter left by Danzo for him. What was written in the letter was not mentioned, but from Orochimaru's attitude and tone, it can be roughly heard. Danzo had a deal with Orochimaru. Danzo didn't know what price he paid, and asked Orochimaru to help teach Muumuu a lesson. So, this is what happened later, when Orochimaru poisoned Muumuu. This was not a false incident, nor was it a spur-of-the-moment decision. Orochimaru was helping Danzo to destroy the relationship between Muumuu and Anko. Of course, Orochimaru also had his own selfish motives. He knew that Anko would not care about such things, but would get close to Muumuu, a wood-style ninja, because of this. It must be said that Orochimaru is sometimes a gentle person. He felt guilty about the disciple he had abandoned, and made some compensation, but he would never admit it in his heart or in his mouth. Yamanaka Ino. That's it. As an elder of Konoha, Danzo actually colluded with the rebel ninja. Tenten. It seems that this is not the first time they have traded, and Danzo seems to know that Orochimaru will appear in the Chunin exam and wrote a letter in advance. Haruno Sakura. Oh, it turns out that Konoha is not as sunny and beautiful as it seems. Danzo has greatly reduced my impression of the village. Hyuga Hinata. This should be just a personal behavior, right? If the third-generation adults knew about this, they would definitely not let him go. Uzumaki Karen. I don't care about these, but they actually dared to do something bad to Muumuu-kun. When I become stronger in the future, I will definitely not let them go. Danzo, Orochimaru, and that Sai. Karen wrote down the names of these three people in her little notebook. Video continues. After Sai framed Muumuu, he happened to find the Anbu who came looking for him. He used obscure means to lead Yugao there, so Yugao was also tricked. Sai originally wanted to lead all the other Anbu there, expose what happened in the cave, and make Muumuu lose his reputation, which would be in the interests of Danzo. But before he could take action, he was caught by Gaara who was passing by and was almost killed. He barely escaped with his life. After the Chunin exam preliminaries, Sai revealed Yugao's affairs to Gekko Hayate, hoping to use Hayate's hand to make the matter bigger. But at that time, Hayate accepted the third generation's purpose mission and was following Yakushi Kabuto. After receiving Sai's information, he became emotionally unstable. Not only was he discovered earlier than in the original work, but he also died miserably. After this, Sai had no reason to get involved in Muumuu's affairs for the time being, and could only go back to apologize to Danzo. After Danzo punished Sai, he began to think about the next plan. Yamanaka Ino. This Sai really deserves to die. Don't let me meet him in real life, otherwise I will definitely make him extinct. Tenten. Ahem, there is no need to be so cruel, in the end it is all Danzo's fault, Sai is just following orders. Tenten. And didn't you notice? The root organization under Danzo doesn't seem to be numb and heartless, puppets without their own thoughts. Haruno Sakura. Why is there such an evil organization in the village? The third generation adults seem to know, why do they allow them to exist? I don't understand. Yamanaka Ino. This kind of thing, when you become a high-level person in Konoha, you will naturally know. Now we are just genin. Haruno Sakura. Humph, with a 600% buff, I will soon not be a genin. Yamanaka Ino. Show off. You got it by making movies. Haruno Sakura. You are just jealous. The video continues. A ruin was found outside Konoha village. It looks like an underground altar. It is suspected that there is some powerful restriction inside. Several Anbu went inside to investigate, but they all died without any useful clues. Shion was also one of the investigators. She reported the matter to the third generation. After thinking about it, the third generation called Muumuu and asked Muumuu to be in charge of the matter. Muumuu and Shion went to the ruins together. On the way, the two talked and learned that this time point was the second time they met after the Death Forest. As for the first time, Anko forced her to go to Muumuu's house and drugged her. So, Shion has not returned yet, and the atmosphere between the two is a little awkward. When they arrived at the ruins, Muumuu used the wood-style clone to go in and investigate, but found that there were no traps inside, only a faint chakra residue, which seemed to be from the chakra of 9 tails. After confirming that it was safe, Muumuu took Shion in. This is an underground cave, which has been transformed into a relatively spacious secret room, with only an altar inside. After researching, Muumuu concluded that this is the altar used to seal 9 tails, and it has been used before, but not in this place at first. The altar was moved from somewhere else, and it is old in itself. The traces of the move were cleared, so it looks like a ruin, but in fact it was recently started. And the Anbu who died here before should be the one who moved the altar and happened to be here. The Anbu saw him and killed him to silence him and disguise the traces. After deducing this, Muumuu quickly came to another conclusion. Someone is going to attack Naruto in the near future. Shi Yan was also shocked. The two decided to report this matter immediately to the third generation, but they didn't know when they were surrounded and set up a barrier. A group of Anbu from the root organization appeared and attacked them without saying a word. Their purpose was very clear, to capture Muumuu alive and kill Shi Yan. The barrier has the effect of suppressing the power of wood style. These root ninjas are all elites with special secret techniques. Muumuu has to protect Shi Yan and is tied up. However, even so, dozens of root ninjas still cannot take down Muumuu in a short time. Danzo couldn't wait any longer and showed up in person to attack Muumuu. Just when Muumuu was about to use Sharingan, the third generation arrived with several Anbu. He scolded Danzo harshly, and Danzo's face turned black. Finally, he retreated unwillingly. The third generation tried their best to appease Muumuu's emotions, improved his treatment in Anbu, and took out several wood-style ninjutsu left by the first generation as compensation. Muumuu was grateful to the third generation on the surface, but his heart was a little cold. Danzo deliberately set up a trap to attract Muumuu, and even killed several Hokage-directed Anbu, and Yugao almost died. If Muumuu didn't have a trump card, he might also be taken away. After such a thing happened, the third generation just scolded Danzo verbally and asked him to go home and reflect on his mistakes. Then they asked people to settle the dead Anbu properly, and that was it. As for the altar here, the third generation didn't say much, but just asked people to dismantle it all, and asked Mu, who was responsible for monitoring Naruto, to increase monitoring and be vigilant, and the matter was left unresolved. Yamanaka Ino. I want to take back what I said before. This Danzo is a bit annoying. He is clearly a villain. Yamanaka Ino. I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. Did the third generation let him go too easy? Tenten. Did Danzo have some leverage over the third generation? This shouldn't be the case. Even if he is an elder, framing the village friends and killing Anbu is a capital crime. How come it was just reflection in seclusion and was just lightly covered up? Hyuga Hinata. Muumuu-kun must feel very uncomfortable. I hope he won't do something irrational. Haruno Sakura. We don't know about the high-level affairs, so it's hard to comment, but this matter is really unfair to Muumuu. This can't be compensated by a few ninjutsu. And those dead Anbu and that Azuki Yugao, they didn't even have verbal comfort. Uzumaki Karen. It seems that Konoha is not as good as I thought. If it weren't for Muumuu-kun, I wouldn't want to go to such a village. Yamanaka Ino. There is another question. That place is outside the village, right? Muumuu-kun was surrounded by the root people. There is a barrier outside, so the movement inside cannot be transmitted. How did the third generation arrive in time? Tiantian. When you put it that way, it seems quite unreasonable. Tiantian. If the third generation had a premonition in advance, they should not have sent the group leader. If he got the news halfway, where did the news come from? Why didn't anyone go to support Muumuu-kun before him? You know, because several Anbu died in that ruins, there were other Anbu patrolling nearby. If the Anbu found out about the situation, they would definitely try to save people first, unless they didn't find out. In this case, how did the third generation get the news first by bypassing these Anbu? Nadeshiko Takiwa. It's very simple. Either he guessed it from the beginning and deliberately sent Muumuu out as a vanguard. Or he realized it after sending people out and immediately brought people to support. Nadeshiko Takiwa. In the timeline, only these two possibilities are correct. Tenten. But that doesn't make sense. Let's not talk about the first one. The second one. Wait, are you a new member? Yamanaka Ino. Oh, a new member has appeared. Haruno Sakura. Expose photos. Expose photos. New members must expose nude photos first when they join the group. This is the rule. Uzumaki Karen. Where did this rule come from? Haruno Sakura. I just decided this rule after I became the eldest sister. Hands on hips and smug face.jpg. Yamanaka Ino. Don't scare the new members away. And who recognizes you as the eldest sister? Haruno Sakura. My group level is the highest, you don't need to recognize me as the eldest sister. Nadeshiko Takiwa. Takiwa bathing picture.jpg. Hyuga Hinata. Uzumaki Karen. Company circle.operator. Tenten. You really post. Yamanaka Ino. Ahem, nice figure. Haruno Sakura. Humph, you did it on purpose, you definitely did it on purpose. This bathing photo, without any cover, Takiwa raised her head and stood up, her proud figure shocked the little girls. After all, she is already an adult, even Hinata at this stage is far behind. The photo was synthesized by Muumuu through the group system. Nadeshiko Takiwa. Isn't it the rule to post nude photos? Did I post it by mistake? Confused face. Tenten. Confirmed, this is a woman who is more sinister than Jingbao, no wonder she did the kind of thing in the appearance CG. Yamanaka Ino. I heard that if someone rubs it frequently, it will grow very big. Tomorrow I will ask Muumuu for help, I want to be a big sister in the true sense. Uzumaki Karen. Tenten. Don't think about it, I will watch you. Yamanaka Ino. Then we can do it together. Tenten. This is not impossible to consider. Haruno Sakura. That's enough. You are all coveting my eldest sister's throne, right? I am Muumuu's first woman, I am the normal one, why don't you please me first? Yamanaka Ino. I don't know who was crying and shouting to quit the group before, but now he has the nerve to mention this. Haruno Sakura. Anyway, I am the first one. You can't envy me, if you have the ability, enter the punishment space once. It's a pity that they don't know that Anko is the first one. Muumuu laughed in his heart, the atmosphere is very good now. Tenten. Okay, let's get down to business. At Nadeshiko Takiwa, what did you mean by what you said at the beginning? Nadeshiko Takiwa. Your third Hokage did it on purpose, he was trying to win people's hearts. If we look at it from this point of view, can we understand it? Hyuga Hinata, Yamanaka Ino, Haruno Sakura. It's broken, the character is broken. The third generation is actually such a person. Uzumaki Karen. Well, this makes sense. Tenten. It's unbelievable, but this makes sense. However, if he wanted to win people's hearts, shouldn't he have severely punished Danzo? Even if he didn't kill him, he shouldn't have just let it go so lightly. Nadeshiko Takiwa. To be honest, I don't quite understand it either. Maybe there is some special bond between them that others don't know about. Of course, there is another meaning. He wants to use the pressure brought by Danzo to make Muumuu-kun completely turn to him. Hyuga Hinata. It's so hard to accept. Yamanaka Ino. Is politics like this? It's better to be a child. Tenten. Actually, this kind of thing is not shocking among ninjas. Sister Takiwa must have experienced a lot, right? Nadeshiko Takiwa. It's okay. Our Nadeshiko village is a ninja village composed of women. It is relatively closed and there are not so many intrigues. Nadeshiko Takiwa. But as you said, this kind of thing is not uncommon in the ninja world. It's not surprising after seeing it many times. Haruno Sakura. All women. I think I have a good idea. Nadeshiko Takiwa. Don't think about Nadeshiko village, you can't control it. Haruno Sakura. Tisk, it doesn't matter if I can't control it as long as you can control Damu. Yamanaka Ino. Tenten. Uzumaki Karen. Hyuga Hinata. Nadeshiko Takiwa. Ha, that's what you mean. Are all the girls nowadays so unrestrained? Yamanaka Ino. She's the only one like that, it has nothing to do with me. Tenta. I don't know her. Uzumaki Karen. She's not the same as us. Hyuga Hinata. I don't quite understand. Nadeshiko Takiwa. No matter how good Muumuu-kun is, even if I agree, it's unrealistic to be your accomplice. Yamanaka Ino. Are you answering seriously? Tenta. It feels so innocent. Haruno Sakura. I was just joking, you know it's impossible. Muumuu thought this was a good idea, to make Nadeshiko village his second home. But let's think about it later. The future video did not stop playing because of their chat, but the plot in the middle was a little watery. The video screen continued. The reason why Shi Yan was able to save her life was entirely because Muumuu tried to protect her regardless of his own safety. From here on, Shi Yan's attitude towards Muumuu changed a lot. Taking advantage of this change, Muumuu began to pursue Shi Yan. With Anko's help, after several times of pulling, Shi Yan stayed with Muumuu and Anko several times. Eventually, habit became natural, and slowly lived with Muumuu and Anko and became a family. Toilet. The last Danzo incident seemed to be completely a thing of the past. Naruto followed Jiraiya practiced, and did not encounter any strange people. Muumuu, who was in charge of monitoring, only left a clone there to deal with it. But in fact, Muumuu has always kept that incident in mind. Even if it is not for himself, he must seek justice for Shi Yan. Muumuu secretly collected information about Danzo, and also asked Tianzang to learn some, so he knew Danzo's identity, power, and some of his past. It is certain that the major families of Konoha do not like this Konoha dark, and even have hostile emotions. Konoha knows that his ninjas all stay away from him and avoid him like snakes and scorpions. But it must be admitted that because of his existence, Konoha has indeed reduced many threats. The village can be so stable and peaceful on the surface, and Danzo's contribution is greater than that of the third generation. Perhaps this is one of the reasons why the third generation has always let him go. Soon, as time passed, the third round of the Chunin exam began. Video continues. On the eve of the Chunin exam, the third generation leader called Muumuu to his office for a heart-to-heart talk. The third generation leader had a bad feeling that something might happen during the Chunin exam. After confirming Muumuu's loyalty to him, he asked Muumuu to keep an eye on Naruto during the exam. No matter what happens in the village, Naruto must not get into trouble. If he gets into trouble, Naruto and the village will be handed over to Muumuu in the future. The third generation leader told Muumuu that he had written a letter to Tsunade about Muumuu's situation, and as long as Tsunade saw it, he would definitely return to the village. With Tsunade's protection, Muumuu didn't have to worry about Danzo's problem. However, Since Tsunade's whereabouts have been erratic over the years, he was not sure when he would be able to come back. Of course, he didn't say the latter words. After Muumuu promised that he would not let down the third-generation leader's trust, the third-generation leader let him leave. Haruno Sakura. Humph, now I feel like throwing up when I see his old face, so hypocritical. Tiantian. Don't say that, although the third generation's methods are a bit inappropriate, they are also for the protection of the village. Yamanaka Ino. That's what I said, but when I think about him plotting against Muumuu-kun, I can't accept it. Tiantian. After all, he is the shadow of a village, and his perspective on things is definitely different from ours. Well, actually I can't accept it either. Tiantian. The group leader is too gentle. Even though he has already seen that the third generation only wants to tie him up in Konoha, he still behaves so respectfully. Haruno Sakura. Is there a possibility that Muumuu just endured it because there are many people he loves in the village? As long as he can gain the trust of the third generation, his position in the village will not be shaken, and he can better protect us. Yamanaka Ino. You said earlier that you would protect the people you love, but now you just don't hide it anymore, right? Do you think Muumuu-kun might love you? Haruno Sakura. My group level is the highest. Hands on hips, smugface.jpg. Yamanaka Ino. The video continues. On the day of the exam, Muumuu stayed in the dark, watching the game silently. Then he found that there were many more Anbu hiding in the dark like him than usual, which was probably arranged in advance by the third generation. He knew that people like the third generation would not do anything without a purpose, even if it was just a premonition, so it was very likely that something would really happen today. Thinking of this, Muumuu split into several clones and went to find the people he cared about, intending to protect them nearby. So far, there are 4 women who have had relationships with Muumuu: Anko, Yugao, Hong, and Yakumo. Anko was patrolling the outskirts of the village, Yugao was watching from the dark like him, Hong was in the audience, and Yakumo was still recuperating in Satamigaoka Villa. Even though Hong was in the audience, Muumuu sent a clone to hide in the dark to guard her. But except for Hong, the other 3 women were not found. Anko and Yugao were fine. After all, they had their own tasks, maybe they just couldn't find them for the time being. But Yakumo was not in Satamigaoka Villa, and Anbu, who was guarding her outside, also disappeared, which made Muumuu realize that something was wrong. At that time, Yakushi Kabuto, who was disguised as Anbu, performed a large-scale illusion, which kicked off the prelude to Konoha's collapse plan. The third generation was hijacked by Orochimaru, who was disguised as the Cage, and trapped on the roof with the 4 Purple Suns formation. A large number of Sand Shinobi ninjas appeared in the audience and attacked the Konoha Shinobi, and the Leaf Jonins fought back. Several summoning snakes appeared outside the village, destroying the barrier outside the village in an instant. Following behind, a large number of Sand Shinobi ninjas and Odogaku ninjas also launched attacks, and the scene was in chaos. Muumuu's heart sank slightly. His main body did not take any action for the time being, but just stared at Naruto from a distance. This was his mission. His clones have already taken action. One is responsible for protecting Yuhi Kurenai, and the other 3 continue to look for Anko, Yugao, and Yakumo. Soon, a clone sent a message that Anko and Yugao were kidnapped by the people of the Root organization. It was the people of the Root who took the initiative to contact him and asked him to go to a remote training ground. So, Yakumo was also likely taken away by the Root, and the purpose was to lure him over. Now that the Konoha collapse plan has been launched, the third generation is busy. Danzo took action at this time, and he must have made full preparations to take him down in one fell swoop. But for the safety of Anko and the others, Muumuu had to give in. There was no other way. He could only leave a wood-style clone behind to continue monitoring Naruto, and he did not take back the clone on Kurenai's side. Then his real body rushed to the location given to him by the Root organization without hesitation. Yamanaka Ino. Is this a war? Why is it so sudden? Tiantian. It was that Orochimaru. And Tsunade. The allies betrayed Konoha. Hyuga Hinata. Why did they do this? I hope everyone is okay. Yamanaka Ino. No. It's that old BCH again, who is making trouble at this time. How did such a person become a high-ranking official in the village? Uzumaki Karen. Danzo, if he dares to hurt Muumuu-kun, I will never forgive him. Tiantian. He actually used hostages as a despicable method to deal with people from the same village. Sisters, we must get rid of this cancer when we have the chance in the future, otherwise the group owner may never be able to live in peace. Yamanaka Ino. I agree. With the group system buff effect, there will definitely be a chance. Haruno Sakura. I agree. This kind of bug should be thrown into the manure pit and drowned. Hyuga Hinata. I agree too. Uzumaki Karen. I will definitely make him die a miserable death. Nadeshiko Takiwa. Although I am far away from Konoha, if I have the chance, I will not let this evil guy go. Nadeshiko Takiwa. But do you have too little confidence in Muumuu-kun? I feel that he will solve it by himself, and he should take this opportunity. After all, opportunities are rare. The eyes of the girls lit up. In this chaotic situation, even if Muumuu killed Danzo, no one would find out. As for whether Muumuu is Danzo's opponent, just kidding, Muumuu still has Sharingan that he hasn't used yet. And didn't the third generation give Muumuu a few wood-style scrolls before? The video screen flashed by at that time, but they also saw that it was full of big moves. With Muumuu's talent, he can definitely learn and grandmaster in a short time. Danzo, this stinky bug, there is no need to worry about it. Kill him. Kill Danzo. The girls shouted in their hearts, as if they wanted the plot in the video to develop in the direction they wanted through this method. Although Danzo only did 2 things in the video, he made them so disgusted that they wanted to grind him to ashes. The video continues. Muumuu soon arrived at the remote training ground. It was deserted and far from the center of the village. It was hard to attract attention even if he made a big noise. It was indeed a good place for murder and robbery. After arriving here, Muumuu saw Anko and Shiyan who were controlled. Both of them were tied to the tree trunks, and their breath was weak. I think their chakras were sealed. What's outrageous is that the 2 of them were far away, one in the east and the other in the west, and each of them was guarded by a member of the root organization. Muumuu knew very well that this was to prevent him from suddenly rescuing people. As long as they were separated, Muumuu could not rescue 2 people at the same time, and he would be more cautious. After Muumuu arrived, Sai suddenly appeared. He promised not to hurt Anko and Shiyan, but he had to seal Muumuu's chakra first. After doing all this, Anko and Shiyan will be allowed to leave the village. Anko and Shiyan are both awake, and they yell at Muumuu to leave them alone and just leave. Of course, Muumuu can't listen to them, but he can't be forced into submission either. Do you think that if you separate the 2, he can't save them at the same time? How naive. Muumuu habitually wears contact lenses and quietly activates Sharingan to hypnosis all 3 members of the root organization, including Sai. But before Muumuu can save people, several more people from the root organization appear, quickly control the people who are hypnosis, and take over Anko and Shiyan. Then, Danzo appears and praises Muumuu's illusion level. If he hadn't been watching secretly, he would have thought that Muumuu had awakened Sharingan. Unfortunately, Muumuu had already discovered that they were hiding in the dark. At this time, everyone jumped out, just in time for him to use Sharingan to hypnosis them one by one. Danzo was still smug over there, describing his plans and talking about his ideals, asking Muumuu to join the root organization and work together for peace in the ninja world. As a result, before he could finish his words, the root organization members started killing each other. Muumuu also took advantage of this opportunity to let the 2 clones who had hidden in advance rescue Anko and Shiyan. Yamanaka Ino. Nice. Muumuu-kun is indeed the most powerful. Not only did he discover the enemy hidden in the dark in advance, but he also arranged 2 clones to hide before coming. He is worthy of being the man I have set my eyes on. Tiantian. That's true, and he secretly used Sharingan hypnosis, and even Danzo didn't notice it. He was still bragging there, and the more I see, the more disgusting it is. Haruno Sakura. Very good, now the hostages have been rescued, and now it depends on how Muumuu beats this old dog. Uzumaki Karen. It's better not to kill him directly, keep him and torture him slowly. This kind of person should be made to watch himself lose everything. Hyuga Hinata. Come on, Muumuu-kun. The video continues. After all, the people Danzo brought were elites, and they recovered quickly. Unfortunately, the hostages had already been rescued. Danzo felt teased, and was angry, and immediately asked everyone to come together. It didn't matter whether the two women lived or died, as long as Muumuu was captured. Muumuu quickly unsealed Anko and Xian's chakra, and let the clones protect them and retreat. His main body directly turned on the Gundam mode, using wooden golem jutsu to cover the rear. At that time, the last barrier appeared again, suppressing Muumuu's wood style, and the wooden golem jutsu collapsed. Under the suppression of this barrier, Muumuu's wood style level was suppressed to the same level as Tenzo, and he couldn't use the ultimate move at all. After the last experience, Muumuu has been well prepared. Not good enough in wood style. Then let's use earth style. A huge wooden golem appears again. Its appearance looks exactly the same as before, but it is actually just a layer of skin. Inside is rocks composed of earth style, which is similar to Iwagakure's technique. Even if it is just a copycat, its power is still good. It easily disintegrates the joint attack of the root members, and also forces Danzo to retreat, and even breaks the outer barrier. Danzo can't believe that Muumuu actually has such strength. Even if everyone joins together, they can't take him down in a short time. But he has limited time, and he must solve everything here before the Konoha collapse plan ends. So taking advantage of a confrontation, Danzo pretended to be defeated, abandoned his men and fled alone, and Muumuu really caught up with him as he thought. And the remaining root members are chasing closely behind. Yamanaka Ino. This battle feels more dangerous than the war in the village. But the abomination is that with such fighting power, he didn't use it to protect the village. Danzo, this old dog, deserves to die. Tiantian. The group master hasn't even used the power of Sharingan yet. This battle is already a foregone conclusion. Tiantian. I think Danzo must want to lure the group master to an ambush point, and then use Yakumo to threaten him. But he doesn't know that the group master has Sharingan, and he will definitely fail in the end like before. Haruno Sakura. Humph, this old dog should have died a long time ago. Muumuu, beat him a few more times for me. Hyuga Hinata. But Yakumo's body is not fully recovered yet. If he is injured and weak, what if Ito runs out again? Uzumaki Karen. Don't worry, Ito is no match for Sharingan. Even if he runs out, Muumuu-kun can suppress him. The video continues. In order to catch up with Danzo, Muumuu released the wooden golem jutsu, chased him all the way, and soon came to an underground base. I thought I would be ambushed as soon as I came in, but what surprised Muumuu was that he didn't meet anyone all the way. In fact, even Danzo was surprised. This is the headquarters of his organization's base, and basically all his subordinates are here. According to his expectation, after he lured Muumuu, everyone would rush up and quickly subdue Muumuu. Ants can kill elephants, not to mention that there are countless talents with various secret techniques in his headquarters, all of which were snatched from the major ninja families in the village. With these people, as long as Muumuu has not grown to the level of first generation, Danzo has the confidence to take him down. Besides, he has a hostage here. Speaking of Yakumo, the hostage, we have to talk about Yakumo's 5 senses control. This ability is also coveted by Danzo, which is why Yakumo was brought to the base headquarters. In addition to being the last trump card to threaten Muumuu, Danzo also wants to keep Yakumo in the root organization and use him. While everyone was chasing, the scene suddenly changed and everyone entered a completely different space. Muumuu's heart tightened. He recognized it at the first time. This was Yakumo's 5 senses control. Yakumo is here, and it seems that Ito has run out again. Yamanaka Ino. It is Ito indeed. I hope she won't cause too much trouble. Tiantian. The group master has evolved Sharingan to 3 Magatama last time, and Ito has been sealed for a while. As one rises and the other falls, she can no longer cause any trouble to the group master. Haruno Sakura. Hehe, I thought of something interesting. Ito is also Muumuu's woman. Will she join the chat group in the future? Anyway, she and Yakumo are 2 people. Hyuga Hinata. No way. Uzumaki Shonglin. In that case, do you think Ito has become one of us? Help Muumuu-kun to deal with Danzo and the root organization. Yamanaka Ino. So the reason why there is no one in the root organization base may be that they were killed by Ito. Tenten. Don't think too much. If that's the case, maybe Ito's weakness caused by being sealed will be supplemented by those people. The video screen continues. Tenten's guess is correct. Ito pulled everyone into the illusion space, and the root organization members who followed behind soon fell one after another. Muumuu immediately showed the Sharingan, but it couldn't be seen under the cover of contact lenses. With the power of 3 Tomo Sharingan, it is more than enough to deal with this 5-sense control space. However, Muumuu can clearly feel that this 5-sense control space is much stronger than the last time, and Ito's power has increased instead of decreased. Danzo also has Sharingan. When he sensed that something was wrong, he opened the right eye, distinguished heavenly gods that he had taken from Shisui. Although he is far inferior to Muumuu in the control of Sharingan, and he only has one eye. But that eye is Mangekyo, and its quality is far higher than 3 Magatama. So Danzo can deal with it more easily than Muumuu. Danzo quickly found Ito's hiding place. He mistook Ito for Yakumo and planned to get ahead of Muumuu and control Ito first. At that time, the situation will still be in his favor. However, Danzo's series of wind-style ninjutsu failed to cause any damage to Ito. After consuming a lot of chakra, he realized that health was simply teasing him. This is an illusion space. All of Danzo's attacks seem to hit Ito, but in fact they all fall into the air. But Danzo himself is not good at illusion. With this delay, Muumuu has already caught up and attacked Danzo first. Ito took the opportunity to sit on the sidelines and even used a paintbrush to create an arena for Muumuu and Danzo to fight on. Danzo, who was already exhausted, was forced into danger and could only unseal his right arm and show off the 10 Sharingans on it. He also boasted that this was his most proud collection and trump card. Yamanaka Ino. Tenten. So many Sharingan. How many Uchiha did he kill? No, the Uchiha clan was destroyed. Was it this Danzo who led it? Hyuga Hinata. So disgusting. So much. Uzumaki Karen. This scum, no matter what the cost, he must not be let off easily. Haruno Sakura. This person has no bottom line. If Sasuke saw this, I'm afraid his soul would be so angry that he would ascend to heaven. But then again, Muumuu also has Sharingan, he must have Uchiha bloodline, right? Yamanaka Ino. Muumuu-kun's physique is more inclined to wood style. His father must be a Senju clan, so the Sharingan should be from his mother. Tenten. I didn't expect that a big family like Uchiha would actually marry outsiders. Yamanaka Ino. It could be just an accident. Don't think too much about it for now. I just want to see Muumuu-kun beat the old dog Danzo to death as soon as possible. Uzumaki Karen. I second. Hyuga Hinata. +1. The video continues. Muumuu was disgusted by Danzo's Sharingan, and immediately flashed in front of Danzo. While he was still bragging, he raised his knife and condensed a flaming knife in his hand, cutting off Danzo's entire right arm. When Danzo unsealed his right arm, he actually used Izanagi, and he didn't care about his right arm being cut off. But when he was about to taunt Muumuu, his face changed drastically. Izanagi didn't work. Muumuu sneered and took off his contact lenses, revealing a pair of Mangekyo Sharingan that looked like a 6-pointed star. The difference between Sasuke's hexagram and the original book's hexagram is that Sasuke's hexagram is an arc, while Shuimu's hexagram is a straight line. Muumuu told Danzo that thanks to his series of tricks today, Muumuu has been in an absolute state of rage, with his emotions fluctuating. Finally, when Danzo showed his Sharingan, he reached a boiling point, thus opening Mangekyo. The ability of his right eye can clear all abnormal states, including not only his own negative effects, but also all the gains and losses that are not his own power within his sight. He is definitely the nemesis of Izanagi. This ability is called Kaishin, and it is a very abstract ability. For example, now, within the reach of Muumuu's right eye, the chakra in Danzo's body is frantically stripped out and continuously dissipated into the air. Although chakra is present at birth, acquired cultivation is the main source. And these acquired cultivation, for the concept of Kaishin, are equivalent to plundered from other places, and are not his own gains. Danzo was terrified but powerless, and soon he became a useless person, at the mercy of others. Yamanaka Ino. It feels good, it feels good. Tenten. Mangekyo Sharingan. Is Sharingan's ability so heaven-defying? At Hyuga Hinata, the Byakugan, which is one of the 3 major eye techniques together with Sharingan, does it have a different heaven-defying ability in the later period? Hyuga Hinata. I don't know. Uzumaki Karen. Danzo lost his chakra and became a useless person, which is definitely more painful for him than killing him. Well done, Mew-kun. Haruno Sakura. Having learned the advanced ninjutsu of wood style and now opening the Mangekyo Sharingan, Mew-kun can be called the strongest in the Jonin world, right? Tiantian. Although he may not be the strongest, I think there are few people in the entire ninja world who can rival the group leader. The group leader is indeed the chosen one. Hyuga Hinata. Opening the god is the ability of the right eye. Does it mean that the left eye also has an ability of the same level? Yamanaka Ino. Hinata, you found the blind spot. I didn't notice this. In this case, Mew-kun's strength will have to be improved to a higher level. He is definitely the best in the ninja world. In fact, the trapped Mangekyo is not just this. Because he himself has the same level of wood style as the first generation, and the life energy in his body is so huge that it is almost infinite. Therefore, he doesn't need to use it sparingly like ordinary Mangekyo. Ordinary Mangekyo is equivalent to eternal Mangekyo. It is only a matter of time and proficiency to open the complete form of Susanoo. Chapter 91. The video continues. Muumuu didn't kill Danzo. He is a good ninja who abides by the rules. He can't be accused of killing the village's high-ranking officials. As for Danzo's current situation, it is entirely his own fault. Muumuu can't blame him. Danzo lost his chakra and soon fell into a coma. When Muumuu turned his eyes to Ito, Ito immediately raised her hands to surrender. It's true that Ito is Yakumo's inner demon, but it doesn't mean she is stupid. And perhaps because she absorbed Muumuu's life essence last time, her emotions are much more stable now, and she looks more like a normal person with a somewhat extreme style of doing things. Ito took this opportunity to confess her feelings to Muumuu. Yes, she has fallen in love with Muumuu. She originally wanted to take over Yakumo's body and pretend to be Yakumo to be with Muumuu. But she thought that Muumuu would not agree with her doing this, so she endured it. In this incident, Ito did not do anything out of the ordinary, but she was a little cruel to the members of the root organization. But it seems that they killed everyone before, but in fact, they just made them fall into a coma and were transferred together. Kumu doesn't really care about the people of the root organization, but if they can all survive and be used well, they can also increase Konoha's combat power. In this way, no one will be held responsible for his disturbance at the root organization base on the 23 road. Ito took advantage of Muumuu's relaxation and successfully counterattacked again. As a result, halfway through, Yakumo's consciousness also ran in. He wanted to scold Ito, but was swept in together. Time passed, Ito didn't know how to convince Yakumo, and the two of them reconciled. In the future, they will not be hostile or wary of each other, but will support each other and share a body. In short, if Yakumo is regarded as Ito Jinchuriki, then Yakumo is like being recognized by Ito and becoming a perfect Jinchuriki. After Muumuu confirmed that Ito's existence is no longer a threat to Yakumo, he is also happy to see it happen. The two of them share one body, just like split personality. Muumuu can also enjoy double happiness, why not? The matter of the root organization came to an end. When Muumuu dealt with everything and returned to the village, the war over there had also come to an end. Jiraiya repelled the summoning snake and guarded the gate of Konoha. Naruto stopped the rampaging Shukaku Jinchuriki Gaara. The third generation also sealed Orochimaru's hands with his life, ending the war. At that time, Muumuu still had a clone in the audience. Seeing that there was no danger on Hong's side, he tried to attack the four purple flame formation. Unfortunately, the clone's power was not enough to destroy the four purple flame formation. The third generation was still being chased by the first generation and second generation who came out of the impure world at that time. At the same time, he communicated with Muumuu outside the barrier and learned that the battlefields were not out of control. He also put his mind at ease and concentrated on dealing with the enemy. The third generation also knew that Muumuu's real body was being calculated by Danzo and was in danger. After a moment of silence, he said that he would let Muumuu act according to his own wishes, and that he would not have to consider Danzo's identity, and that the future of the village would be handed over to Kunshu. After this, the third generation was determined to perform the Shiki Fujin, taking away the souls of the first generation and the second generation, as well as Orochimaru's hands. The third generation's instructions to leave the future of the village to Muumuu were heard by many Anbu around. In addition, the exposure of the Danzo incident caused a great public opinion storm. This also led to Muumuu's prestige being greatly improved after this battle. After the war, the two advisors also considered letting Muumuu take over the position of Hokage, but Muumuu was still too young after all. Even if his strength was sufficient, his knowledge reserves and life experience were still a little lacking. After discussion, it was finally decided to let Tsunade come back to take over the 5th generation, and train Muumuu as a 6th generation, just like the original work. The video ends here, and the screen gradually goes black. Yamanaka Ino. It's finally over. Luckily there was no danger. Muumuu-kun is amazing. He is the future 6th generation. He is indeed the man I like. Haruno Sakura. That Danzo was locked up in the end, right? I always feel that such a person should not be allowed to live. Tiantian. There is nothing we can do about it. After all, the other party has the status of an elder. But he has lost his chakra. Even if he wants to turn the tables, he has no ability. Uzumaki Karen. It's best to beat him up once a day, starve him for 3 days and 9 meals, as long as he has no physical strength and energy, he will turn the tables. Hyuga Hinata. This. Yamanaka Ino. Karen, I support you. The task of beating Danzo is handed over to you. And you are a medical ninja. You must have a way to make people suffer without being tortured to death. Uzumaki Karen. That's possible. I will definitely work towards this direction. This Danzo actually dared to plot against Muumuu-kun again and again. I will never let him have an easy time. Tiantian. Ahem, we are all civilized people, so let's not say such bloody words. When you go, remember to turn on the video live broadcast. Uzumaki Karen. Hyuga Hinata. Everyone, it's getting late, I'm going to bed, good night everyone. Yamanaka Ino. It's really late, today's video is much longer than the previous ones, so much time has passed unknowingly. Yamanaka Ino. There was also the CG of the newcomer's appearance, and the wide forehead's punishment live broadcast. Today's content is quite rich, I hope I don't have too many dreams tonight. Tiantian. I'm sleepy too, everyone go to bed early. Yamanaka Ino. Little Tiantian, come and sleep with me. Tiantian. Jingbao, I'm here. Haruno Sakura. You two 197 centimeters are enough. Yamanaka Ino. Haha, a certain wide forehead will definitely not be able to sleep tonight, so we'll go to sleep first. Yamanaka Ino. Little Tiantian, let's do an experiment to see if this will really make it bigger. Tiantian. Stop it, you female hooligan, I shouldn't have agreed to you. If we are going to do experiments, we should do it on you. Yamanaka Ino. Don't you want to surpass me? Tiantian. Then be gentle. Haruno Sakura. Uzumaki Karen. Little Sakura, or we? Haruno Sakura. I refuse. Uzumaki Karen. But, we are the youngest in the group. Haruno Sakura. Summon me, immediately, right now. Nadeshiko Takiwa. You little girls are quite playful. Unlike me, I can only be alone, although I don't want to grow up anymore. Yamanaka Ino. Tiantian. Haruno Sakura. Uzumaki Karen. Muumuu watched them silently for a while through remote monitoring, and found that they played more openly than he thought, and couldn't help but sigh secretly. Sure enough, the existence of chat groups has changed many people and things, and now even the thoughts of a few little girls have become complicated. Ding! New member quota for the Harem group +1, randomly selecting people to join the group, please wait for a moment. A new day has just begun, and Muumuu has just woken up from his sleep, and immediately received a system notification sound in his mind. Although he has become somewhat accustomed to the system's random selection of people, he still wants to complain at this moment. A new person was just selected yesterday, and now there is another one so soon. Is it because the one yesterday was rejected because of his ugliness? While Muumuu was thinking, the new member was quickly confirmed. Seeing the name, the sleepy breathing involuntarily stopped for a moment. Ding! The new member of the Harem group has been selected. For Tsunade, please host to write a character for her. Tsunade. I'm so shocked, it's Tsunade. Compared to the 3rd generation, this is the backer he wants. However, Muumuu didn't want Tsunade to return to the village so soon, so there has been no trace of her in the unseen channels. Otherwise, just based on the fact that he awakened wood style, Tsunade would be able to appear in Konoha on the same day as long as he received the news. The reason why Tsunade was not allowed to come back so soon was mainly because he did not have much say now, and Tsunade was a strong woman. It can be predicted that as long as Muumuu could not suppress her, she would suppress her. Everything had to be done by Tsunade. How could he open a harem? But now Tsunade wanted to join the group, as long as she watched the future video, especially the many explosive points in the video last night. With Tsunade's violent temper, Konoha might be turned upside down by her. Muumuu rubbed his eyebrows. The system really gave him a big problem. It was impossible to refuse. This was Uno Suna, which mature man could refuse. Since there was no way, Muumuu could only accept it. So with a tangled and happy mentality, Muumuu began to write a character design for Tsunade and make a debut CG. Anko beside him seemed to have woken up, but there was no movement. She must be watching yesterday's future video and chat records. Muumuu was already very familiar with writing character settings. He just pondered for a moment and soon came up with an idea. After all, the appearance CG was not very important. Just do it casually. It would not have a big impact on the future. Ding. The character settings have been confirmed and new members are being pulled in. Ding. New members have been pulled in successfully. Welcome Tsunade to join the Muumuu Harem group. After Muumuu submitted the character settings, the system quickly approved it. Ding. Tsunade joins the Muumuu Harem group. Congratulations to Tsunade for becoming a member of the Muumuu Harem group. Please consciously abide by the following group rules. At the same time, a prompt sound came from the chat group. While Muumuu was writing the character settings, Konoha, Shika and Karen also woke up one after another and heard the system prompt sound. Haruno Sakura. A new member so soon. New member joins the group. Let me show you my nude photos first. At Tsunade. Yamanaka Ino. So early. Who is this person this time? Hyuga Hinata. Good morning everyone, I hope someone familiar joins. Tenten. Good morning. Wait, what is this? Yamanaka Ino. Don't be so excited, Tenten, I just grabbed you gently, I haven't even kissed you yet. Tiantian. No, wait a minute, this name, can it be that adult? Haruno Sakura. Could it be that? Uzumaki. The strongest female ninja in the ninja world. The strongest medical ninja. One of the Sanin like Orochimaru. Hyuga Hinata. Is she also Muumuu-kun's harem? Yamanaka Ino. I'm shocked. Not only the girls were shocked, but even Anko, who was silently peeking at the screen, was shocked and almost cried out in surprise. Good guy, Anko said in her heart. Good guy, almost couldn't help but give a thumbs up to Muumuu. What kind of man is she with? Forget about those women before, but she can even get this one. I can only say, spit. Before the girls finished expressing their feelings, the appearance CG started playing. In the Hokage's office, Tsunade was still wearing the tea-green robe with black edges and a big word, Gamble, on the back. A pile of messy documents were placed randomly on the desk, and a bamboo hat symbolizing Hokage was placed on it. Obviously, the national player has taken over the position of Hokage. However, she was not working at this time, but stood up with a slap on the table, angrily saying, I don't agree with you taking such risks. Don't forget that you carry the burden of the Senju clan. If something unexpected happens, how can I explain to my dead second grandfather? Quote exclamation mark quote. Opposite her stood Muumuu, who looked helpless, about 15 or 16 years old at this time. Don't you still have the Senju clan? It's not my burden alone. Muumuu argued. And I just want to sneak into Rain Shinobi Village to explore intelligence. I don't plan to show up. The risk is not as big as you think. No means no. Tsunade directly played rogue and shouted loudly, I am your aunt and also Hokage. You must listen to me. I know that in order to make Senju flourish in the past 2 years, I have been urging you to have children, which is a bit unfair to you. But aren't you enjoying it yourself? If you don't think about yourself, don't you think about the women in your family? Do you have the heart to let them worry about you? Now your most important task is to pass on the incense of Senju in the wood style. The Senju clan finally produced a wood-style bloodline that can be compared with the great-grandfather, and Tsunade doesn't want to be cut off like before. The first thing after returning to the village was to urge Muumuu to have a child. In the past few years, Muumuu was still young, but now it can be put on the agenda. How could Tsunade let Muumuu go out to take risks? Even if Muumuu's strength is already very strong, he is still a child in the eyes of the sheep. This kind of thing should be left to the older generation to do, and he is responsible for continuing the incense. Muumuu understood what Tsunade meant, and his expression became more helpless. This old double standard. So Muumuu gritted his teeth, stepped forward to hug Tsunade, buried his head in her big evil, goodly jout said in a muffled voice, if for wood style, I think the probability of having a child born by my aunt and me is the highest. Tsunade's body stiffened, and her expression was a little unnatural. What are you talking about? I am your aunt. Have you heard the story of Yongguo and Xiaolongnu? Muumuu smiled and started to eat the white flower. Tsunade seemed to want to push Muumuu away, but she was reluctant. After a while of humming and groaning, she asked who Yongguo and Xiaolongnu were. But at this time, Muumuu had no time to popularize science for her, and his mouth was busy. Tsunade actually didn't have any thoughts about Muumuu, but the reason why she returned to Konoha, regained herself, and took over the position of Hokage was because of the end. She pinned everything she had on Muumuu, basically giving whatever Muumuu wanted, and almost spoiled Muumuu to the sky. At this moment, although she felt that it was wrong to do so, she still couldn't refuse Muumuu. It can be seen that Tsunade really dotes on Muumuu to the extreme. At first, she used her aunt's identity to persuade Muumuu, but under Muumuu's insistence, she soon agreed with Muumuu's point of view. The relationship between the two can be traced back to Senju Butsuma, who is separated from Tsunade by the 4th generation and Muumuu by the 5th generation. Although they are of the same lineage, the blood relationship is already very weak and does not affect the birth of offspring at all. If Tsunade can give birth to Muumuu's child, the probability of the child inheriting the wood style is indeed much greater than that of other women. For the sake of the Senju clan and the wood style, Sho quickly accepted this matter. She even guided Muumuu from a medical perspective and reminded him what to do to increase the probability of conception. She was not worried at all that this matter would be spread and would damage her image and the prestige of Hokage in people's minds. As long as Muumuu wanted, Tsunade would try her best to satisfy him. As for the consequences, she will bear them all. What storms has Tsunade not experienced? Just a few rumors won't make her back down. This appearance CG contains a lot of information, which shocked the girls in the group and made them unable to recover for a long time. Before, because of the popular science every day, everyone already knew what Tsunade was. The video also confirmed her identity, the future 5th Hokage. For these girls, Tsunade is undoubtedly a legendary figure and an idol-level star. But now, she is going to become sisters with them. And they can get close to each other through the chat group. This is simply. Not to mention the little girls, even Anko, who was still pretending to sleep, felt very incredible, and her admiration for Muumuu rose rapidly, almost reaching the max level. So she pretended to just wake up, and when she saw Muumuu still lying beside her, she immediately turned over and took Kunshu to do morning exercises together. A casino in the land of fire. Tsunade brought enough cash this time and gambled for 3 days and 3 nights at a time. Although she had almost lost all, she had also had enough of it. As if she was not the one who lost the money, she looked very high-spirited. Come again, come again. Tsunade pulled up her sleeves, revealing her white arms, and swung the dice cup and shook it vigorously. For the last round, I'll bet all the remaining 1 million on Leopard 6. Is there anyone who wants to follow? Tsunade shook the dice cup vigorously and shouted loudly. Around her, there were many gamblers who were in a bad mental state but looked excited. Tsunade was not the dealer, but she was generous and had amazing gambling luck. As long as she shook the dice, she would get almost anything she wanted. So at the beginning, it was a normal gambling game, but slowly it began to take over the dealer's dice, and the dealer didn't care at all. At this time, she bet 1 million, and it was a specific Leopard 6, so the dealer could not stop her from shaking the cup. As for those gamblers who bet against Tsunade, they were only small heads after all, and the dealer still had some money left after paying them. Moreover, do you really think everyone is Tsunade? People who know how to stop when they are ahead may turn a blind eye. If you are greedy, the end is hard to say. It's a hidden rule, it's boring to say it out loud. Bang! Finally, Tsunade pressed the dice cup heavily on the table and shouted again, buy and leave, those who want to bet, hurry up and place your bets, I'm about to open the cup. Hearing this, the gamblers placed their bets on, small, and instantly piled up the same amount of change. Tsunade said with an unhappy face, what do you mean? What do you mean? You all look down on me, right? Do you really think I will lose forever? It's not too late to regret now. I'll give you one chance to change your bets. If you miss this chance, you'll miss it. This game is definitely Leopard 6. You can't go wrong if you listen to me. The gamblers laughed in their hearts. If you had this ability, you wouldn't be called the legendary Big Fat Sheep. Of course, they were happy in their hearts, but they didn't dare to show it on the surface. They just said that they would follow next time. Tisk, a bunch of boring people. Tsunade pouted. Do you really think she wants to win money? No, she really wants to win money. If everyone listened to her, she would definitely change her bet from Leopard 6 to small before revealing the divination, so that no one would have a chance to regret. Although the odds are only 1 to 1, they have lost for 3 days and 3 nights in a row. She must win in the last round, even if it is only a consolation prize of 1 million. Unfortunately, none of these guys took the bait. It's so boring. Of course, if those people don't change their bets, Tsunade won't change either. She has her own temper. When the dice cup was opened, everyone was dumbfounded, and even Tsunade couldn't help rubbing her eyes. Leopard 6. A scream that broke the eardrums almost overturned the roof of the casino. The next moment, the whole casino was boiling. It was really a leopard, and it was really 3 sixes. The big fat sheep who always lost but never won turned the tide against the wind, and won a big one when he won. The odds of the leopard are 36 times, and the special leopard is 144 times. Tsunade won. Ah, win. Tsunade-sama won. Shizune, who had just woken up from a nap next to him, was instantly surprised after hearing what happened. Puff, puff. The little piglet in Shizune's arms followed and cried a few times, with disbelief on his face. Tsunade brought a total of 100 million in cash this time. Shizune was disappointed after losing money for 3 days and 3 nights. Unexpectedly, in the last round, she turned the tables and made a profit of 144 million after paying out the losses, making a net profit of 44 million. Although the dealer wanted to cry but had no tears, they dared not swallow Tsunade's money and quickly prepared it for her. But unlike Shizune and Tuntun who were overjoyed, Tsunade felt a little heavy in her heart. She knew her own business. With such a big odds, Tsunade felt that her life was in danger. Ding! Tsunade joins the Muumuu Harem group. Congratulations to Tsunade for becoming a member of the Muumuu Harem group. Please consciously abide by the following group rules. 1. Suddenly, a crisp electronic synthesized sound was heard in her ears, which made Tsunade alert instantly. It came so fast, even she didn't notice it in advance. Soon, Tsunade found the chat group and thought it was an illusion at first. When she quickly read the group rules and chat records, her expression became more serious. Bang! Tsunade slapped the gambling table heavily, stood up and said seriously, Shizune, go back to Konoha. Shizune, who was happily collecting money behind him, was suddenly stunned, and the pig in his arms also showed a dull expression. Tsunade had no intention of explaining. She put on her tea-green coat and walked out. As she walked, she clicked on the videos in the group file and watched them one by one. A descendant of the Senju clan, a wood-style awakener, her nephew. It was enough to shock Tsunade to the point of losing her composure. Not to mention, in the appearance CG, she was actually going to raise wood-style offspring with this nephew. Tsunade-sama, what happened? Why so suddenly? Shizune, holding a wallet full of cash in one hand and holding Tuntun in the other, quickly caught up with Tsunade. Tsunade walked very fast, and then started running, and then even jumped like a ninja to hurry on, which shows how anxious she was. Shizune almost couldn't catch up, so she had to let Tuntun run on the ground by herself, and she held the wallet in her hand tightly. Tsunade didn't answer Shizune's words, but just took out a letter from her arms and threw it to Shizune. Shizune took it in a hurry and almost dropped the wallet again. When she opened the letter and took a look, she was stunned. This letter was sent by the 3rd generation. There were some greetings at the beginning, and then a lot of nostalgia for the old times. Then the third generation member lamented that he was too old to do anything, and hoped that Tsunade could return to the village to help him share the pressure. At the very end, he mentioned that among the new graduates of the ninja school this year, he had discovered a very good seedling, and wanted to give it to Tsunade for training. When Shizune received this letter, he also read it and used it to persuade Tsunade earnestly. Unfortunately, no matter the content of the letter or Shizune's persuasion, Tsunade sneered and planned to tear up the letter on the spot. In other words, Shizune thought that it was sent by the third generation member, and it should not be for no reason to seek old friendship, or there might be other deep meanings, so he saved it from Tsunade and planned to study it carefully later. Before Shizune could figure it out, he saw Tsunade suddenly stop and clench his fist and hit the trunk of a giant tree next to him. Boom, boom. The tree that required 3 or 4 people to hug was broken in half by Tsunade's punch. Shizune's mouth twitched slightly, and Tuntun was so scared that his face turned pale, and he went straight behind Shizune. The old man didn't say that the newcomer awakened wood style. Tsunade gritted her teeth, her face full of anger, and she looked like she was about to go berserk. She didn't care much about the appearance CG video. Whether it was something that would happen in the future or not, at least it hadn't happened yet, so there was no need to think too much. Through the conversation records in the chat group, she learned a lot of information and also had a preliminary understanding of Muumuu's basic situation. And just after watching the first future video, Tsunade also saw the process of Muumuu awakening wood style, and even when he followed Tianzang to practice wood style later, he showed amazing talent. Having an orthodox wood style bloodline, this is definitely a Senju direct lineage. When Tsunade had lost all her relatives, the sudden appearance of such a Senju direct lineage was self-evidently important to Tsunade. However, since the old man wrote to her, he only picked up some useless things and didn't mention wood style. Just reminiscing about the past and playing the emotional card, he wanted her to return. What kind of person does he think of Tsunade? Without mentioning the resentment in Tsunade's heart, Shizune was shocked and screamed. Wood style. The newcomer that third generation asked you to train has awakened wood style. How is this possible? And where did Master Tsunade get the news? Let's go back to Konoha first. Tsunade waved her hand and continued to speed up her pace. Now her energy is still focused on the future video, and she has no time to explain to Shizune. Shizune has no choice but to hurry up and catch up with the national player. Soon, Tsunade finished watching the second video and frowned deeply. Muumuu not only awakened wood style, but also awakened Sharingan before that. What's going on? However, from the future video, we can see that the only people who knew that Muumuu awakened Sharingan, besides the few group members who could also see the future video, were Hyuga Hinata, who was at the scene at the time. The third generation didn't know, and since he didn't doubt Muumuu's identity, it meant that Muumuu was indeed a Senju. Tsunade figured it out quickly and breathed a sigh of relief. The blood of the Senju clan awakened Sharingan. It seems that someone married Uchiha. No matter what, as long as it is Senju blood, it doesn't matter whether it is Sharingan or not. As for the authenticity of future videos and the rationality of the existence of chat groups, there is no need to question it. The first person to join the group still needs to verify, and those who join later just need to look at their verification results. As long as you have a little IQ, it is easy to come up with your own answer. Soon, Tsunade finished watching the third video, which was Muumuu's mission to rescue Karen in Kusagaku village, and finally used his clone to retaliate. Still a man, Tsunade was very satisfied with Muumuu's performance, and whispered, "The Uzumaki clan is the family of Grandma Mito. Her descendants were bullied so much. There is really no need for Kusagaku village to exist." According to the inference, Muumuu has not gone to Kusagaku village at this time. Originally, with Tsunade's personality, she should have gone straight to Yin-gon. But returning to Konoha to see Muumuu was obviously more important. And she also felt that Muumuu handled this matter very well, so she just had to leave it to Muumuu, and she didn't need to intervene. Future Video 4, in the Death Forest, Muumuu was poisoned by Orochimaru's snake venom. Tsunade's face turned black, and he cursed Orochimaru's ancestors in his heart. Next time he sees Orochimaru, choose him and punch him. As for the scene of Muumuu, Anko, and Shiyan detoxifying, Tsunade quickly skipped it. She is the most professional medical ninja, and the most primitive instinct of human beings is not a strange thing for her. Well, if you ignore that her cheeks have turned light pink. Future Video 5, Kunmu is invited to visit Satomi Hill Villa for Yakumo. After watching the whole video, Tsunade has no other thoughts except that this Yakumo has good abilities, and she has learned more about Muumuu. Well, he is just a pervert. But he is much better than the filthy guy like Jiraiya. A decent girl would avoid Jiraiya. But most decent girls would be unable to walk when they see Muumuu. This is what Tsunade really thinks, and she is very pleased about it. Muumuu is such a person, which is more to her liking, so that the reproduction of the Senju clan will be smoother. Now she has to confirm which lineage Muumuu belongs to and what is the relationship with her, Tsunade. In fact, in the appearance CG, Muumuu called her aunt, and she also mentioned the second grandfather. With Tsunade's intelligence, she has already figured out the relationship. But for this kind of thing, she must see the family tree with her own eyes to be completely at ease. What happened to Master Tsunade? Shizune followed Tsunade all the way, feeling the ups and downs of Tsunade's emotions, and her heart was full of doubts. And the next moment, she showed a horrified expression on her face. Painful kick. As Tsunade ran, a strong evil spirit suddenly burst out of his body. With a roar, Tsunade jumped high from the treetops and slammed down to the ground with his 10 feet. Boom! A deafening roar suddenly sounded in the deserted woods. The ground collapsed, and a large number of trees fell. Instantly, a huge pit with a diameter of tens of meters and a depth of several meters appeared in the woods. What is going on? Shizune was so scared that she dropped her wallet on the ground. Luckily, she didn't chase too close, otherwise, she would have been killed by this blow. Puff, pee. Tsunade gritted her teeth and said to herself coldly, "You want to use Muumuu to kidnap me? Then I'll take the initiative to deliver myself to your door, and see if you dare to accept it." After that, Tsunade shouted to Shizune who had not caught up with her, "Shizune, I'll go first, and you can go back to Konoha by yourself." After leaving this sentence, Tsunade sped up again and disappeared from Shizune's sight in a few seconds. "Wait, Master Tsunade!" Shizune shouted, but unfortunately his palm did not stay. "At least tell me what happened first." Shizune, who was confused, was going crazy. But there was no way. What could she do? She could only speed up and hurry on her way. In the chat group, after recognizing Tsunade's identity, all the girls became silent. Especially little Sakura, who was shouting about the newcomer's naked photos at the beginning, now chose to play dead. Muumuu also did some morning exercises with Anko, and then got up to make breakfast for her. During Anko kept looking at Muumuu with strange eyes. Although Muumuu knew the reason, he couldn't point it out. He pretended to ask several times, but Anko used various awkward topics to change the subject. Muumuu just followed the flow and pretended not to see it. At this time, he was a little uneasy. Muumuu saw Tsunade's irritable appearance clearly through remote monitoring. "I'm afraid that Tsunade will appear in the village today. Although Tsunade's malice is directed at Danzo and the third generation, he will definitely take extra care of Muumuu. But this kind of care and love, when placed on Tsunade, makes people feel a little bit muggle." Muumuu really didn't expect Tsunade to come back so early. He was really unprepared. Let him improve for a while, and have enough confidence, then it will definitely not be like this. So after a quick breakfast and saying goodbye to Anko, Yingxian couldn't wait to find Tianzang for training. Today's actual combat training is to be carried out. As long as he integrates his abilities, Muumuu actually has the ability to fight with Tianzang. Tsunade's strength to compete. But he is a shy guy after all, the kind who has the intention but not the courage. He had just finished making up Tsunade, and Tsunade came to kill him, so he couldn't help but feel guilty. Especially Tsunade's strong personality always made him a little scared. However, these are just life seasonings, the key is to seriously improve the actual experience. Tenzo is indeed a qualified teacher. During the actual combat sparring, he also created various terrains for Muumuu, which were either beneficial to Muumuu or not. And he also found several Jonin in Anbu to help Muumuu practice together. Muumuu did not disappoint him, and his progress was visible to the naked eye. While Muumuu was concentrating on training, Tsunade, who was on his way, also figured out all the functions of the chat group and began to pop up in the group. Tsunade. Newcomer naked photos. It's the rule set by the big sister, right? At Haruno Sakura. Haruno Sakura. I was just kidding, hee hee. Uzumaki Karen. Oh. Tenten. Master Tsunade, are you really the legendary Master Tsunade? Tsunade. Oh, I heard that you are my little fan, little Tenten. Tenten. It's my honor to be remembered by Master Tsunade. I have heard about your deeds since I was a child, and you are the person I admire the most. So I am working hard with you as my goal. Tsunade. You mean I am old? Tenten. No, absolutely not. From the video, Tsunade-sama looks like he is in his early 20s. He is so young that I am surprised. Tsunade. In his early 20s. But I am only 18. Tenten. Haruno Sakura. Uzumaki sad face. Oh. Tsunade. Haha, just kidding. You are all members of Muumuu's harem, and you are also my niece-in-law. Just call me aunt like Muumuu in the future. Yamanaka Ino. But you are also Muumuu-kun's woman, right? Tsunade. Ino, right. I am on my way back to Konoha now, but I think I am too slow. Otherwise, you can summon me over so that I don't have to rush. Ino. Aunt. Tiantian. Aunt. Haruno Sakura. Aunt. Several little girls immediately gave in. Just from the video, we can see how strong Tsunade's personality is. All her tenderness is reserved for Muumuu. If she doesn't bow her head at this time, she will be asking for trouble. Tsunade is very satisfied with this. After teasing these cute little nieces, Tsunade continues to concentrate on her journey. Summoning and so on, she also knows that it is a bit difficult for those little girls now. Anyway, she is not far from the village now, so she runs a little and vents her emotions first. Uzumaki Karen. That, Master Tsunade, if you return to the village, can I learn medical ninjutsu from you? Tsunade. Karen, you can try, but if you don't have talent in this area, I won't accept you as a disciple even if you are my niece. Uzumaki Karen. Thank you Master Tsunade, I will not let you down. Haruno Sakura. Master Tsunade, I also want to practice medical ninjutsu with you. It has been revealed in the future video that I have a talent for this. Tsunade. Sure, if it was the little 1.5 Sakura from before, she really would not look down on it. But since she was taught by the rules, even a fool can see that little Sakura has completely returned to Muumuu. Everyone else in the group has the possibility of betrayal, but little Sakura will not. This is also engraved with the mark of being trapped in the depths of her soul. Finally, under Tsunade's hustle and bustle, before it was completely dark, the outline of Konoha appeared in front of her. Please report, and then register here. Gang Ziti, who was guarding the gate, noticed a strange breath and spoke without raising his head. But Shenyu Izumo beside him was tugging at the corner of his clothes frantically, which made Gang Ziti realize that something was wrong. When he subconsciously looked up, he was completely dumbfounded. The two gate gods that made Six Paths Pain afraid to go through the main gate were all turned into stone statues at this moment. Hokage's office. After the third Hokage finished processing the documents, he took out the crystal ball and watched Muumuu's training progress remotely for a while. He was shocked by the talent Muumuu showed. From the beginning of special training to now, in just a few days, he has fought back and forth with several Jonin. His strength is not even suppressed by Tenzo. That is to say, he is not proficient in the use of those ninjutsu now, otherwise he would be an elite Jonin. It seems that when Muumuu grows up, he will definitely not be weaker than the Shodai of the past. He really deserves to be the legendary wood style that can conquer the world. The third generation couldn't help but sigh, his eyes were condensed, and he couldn't help but think about what method to use to better pass on the will of fire to Muumuu. Before, he didn't feel anxious because Muumuu had just awakened the wood style, and there was plenty of time. But now it seems that if he delays for a while, Muumuu should stand at the top of the ninja world, and it will be too late for him to think of a way by then. People like Muumuu can only be tied to the Hokage faction. Perhaps, it's time to send Danzo out. If the news of wood style is accidentally leaked to Danzo, the latter will definitely not sit still. 23 The third generation figure silently calculated in his mind and soon came up with a plan. So, He quickly relaxed again, everything was under control. The picture in the crystal ball changed, and soon changed to a female bathhouse. Bang! Just at this moment, the door of the office was violently opened. The huge sound frightened the third-generation figure so much that he trembled all over, and it ended before it even started. Without bothering to clean up, the third-generation figure hurriedly waved his hand to disperse the picture in the crystal ball. Looking outside the door again, a beautiful figure retracted the foot that kicked the door, and walked in quickly with an overwhelming aura. Seeing who the person was, the third-generation figure was obviously stunned. "Tsunade, why are you back?" The third-generation figure quickly reacted and exclaimed. But think about it, his office door, only this person in the whole Konoha dared to treat it so violently. Of course, there is another Danzo, but the latter basically does this when he leaves. "Why, old man, are you surprised? Or do you not want to see me?" Tsunade stood opposite him, folding her arms and sneering. She knew that the other party wrote that letter just for show. When she finds out that Konoha has a wood-style ninja, the third generation will have something to say. After all, he has already written to Tsunade, and it is Tsunade who doesn't care. Who can he blame? Unfortunately, Tsunade never plays by the rules, and doesn't know how to reason with others. Besides, now that she got the news in advance, the third generation is even more at fault. "Hee, how could it be? Didn't I write to ask you to come back?" The third generation laughed awkwardly, and she was already sweating. According to his estimation, even if Tsunade really wanted to come back, he shouldn't be so anxious. Did someone leak the news of wood style? But it's impossible. The people who knew about this were all his diehards, and even Danzo couldn't get the news, so how could Tsunade, who was far away from Konoha, know? Coincidence? It must be just a coincidence. Let's not talk about this for now, old man, let me ask you. Tsunade didn't care what the third generation was thinking, and said coldly, "I heard that my second grandfather's lineage has a genius, and he has awakened the wood style. Is this true?" She stared at the third generation, making it impossible for the third generation to just brush it off. The third generation was shocked instantly. The news really leaked. Who betrayed him? But now that Tsunade was staring at him, he didn't have time to think about it. At this point, even if he wanted to hide it, it would be impossible. The third generation sighed inwardly, but on the surface, he looked gentle and relieved. "I wrote to ask you to come back just for this matter. I originally wanted to wait for you to come back and give you a surprise, but I didn't expect you to know it in advance. I just don't know where you got the news from." The third generation wanted to test it, but Tsunade waved his hand and interrupted him. "Don't worry about how I got the news, just give me Muumuu's information." The future video did not mention Muumuu's identity and origin, but Tsunade believed that the third generation must have sorted it out. Faced with Tsunade's strong personality, the third generation had no choice but to hand the previously saved file to Tsunade. Tsunade couldn't wait to open it and read it. Muumuu's father was the grandson of her second grandfather, and her mother was the cousin of Uchiha Fugaku. Muumuu's grandfather was the son of her second grandfather, and her grandmother was the niece of her grandmother Mito. Tsunade did a simple calculation and knew that according to the generation, Muumuu should indeed call her aunt. Everything in the chat group was true. So, she looked at the third generation member, and her eyes became unfriendly. This old man, in order to win over Muumuu, did not hesitate to put him in danger. What if something unexpected happened? Originally, in Tsunade's heart, the Senju clan had been completely cold. But now Muumuu suddenly appeared, which was definitely a national treasure level for her. She would pamper him and even give birth to Muumuu's children. How dare outsiders do something dirty? Whoever dares to raise his hand will be stomped, including the third Hokage. The third generation member was stared at by Tsunade, and laughed dryly. "I have confirmed this information several times, and there is absolutely no problem. In terms of relationship, you are Muumuu's aunt, so from today, his custody will be transferred to you." Tsunade threw a look of, "You know what's good for you," and the momentum on his body was relieved. The third generation member breathed a sigh of relief and smiled bitterly in his heart. The appearance of Tsunade really caught him off guard. The package plan he had just thought of might not be implemented at this time. Otherwise, once Tsunade intervenes, he will not only be in trouble, but Danzo will also be at a disadvantage. However, everything has its pros and cons. After all, 583 is still Hokage in the third generation. With power in hand, there is still a lot of room for maneuver. At most, they just give up brainwashing Muumuu, but the third generation is still sure that Muumuu will lean towards the Hokage faction. As long as Muumuu is there, Tsunade will stay and can also increase the voice of the Hokage faction. As for the rest, we can only think about it slowly. Where is Muumuu now? I want to see him right away. Tsunade accepted Muumuu's guardianship, and she was too lazy to bother with the third generation. Now she is most concerned about Yukun. The third generation said, he is a freshman who just graduated from the ninja school. Because the teammates he was assigned to were not qualified, he should have been held back and returned to school, but he accidentally awakened the wood style, and it was not appropriate for him to return to school, so I let him join Anbu. Tsunade interrupted impatiently. Get to the point. She already knew all this through future videos and chat group records, and there was no need for the third generation to repeat it again. Her purpose was very simple from beginning to end, that is, to see Muumuu right away. The third generation coughed dryly, stood up and said, I arranged for Tianzang to give him special training. He has been in these 2 days. Before she finished speaking, she saw Tsunade staring at his pants for a while, then looked away with disgust and distanced herself from him. The third generation finally realized what he was doing before Tsunade came in. His face instantly turned red, and he felt like a social demise. Tsunade. At Mitarashi Anko, what's wrong with you? Are you living with Muumuu? After leaving the Hokage's office, Tsunade tagged Anko in the group chat. From the third generation's crystal ball, she had seen Muumuu undergoing special training, so she didn't bother him, but only asked where Muumuu lived now. Muumuu and Anko were together, so naturally they couldn't hide it from the third generation's eyes, and Muumuu didn't intend to hide it. And although the age difference between Muumuu and Anko was a little bit, the third generation was also happy to see it happen. For the third generation, if they wanted to tie Muumuu to the warship of Konoha, the more ties Muumuu had with the villagers, the better. I just secretly envy this boy's luck with women. He just graduated from the ninja school, and a beautiful woman came to him on her own initiative. It is said that he was also having affairs with several girls in the same graduate class, and the third generation was so envious that Jill was going crazy. Mitarashi Anko. This. Master Tsunade, are you back in the village? Tsunade. What do you think? Mitarashi Anko. I've been patrolling the outskirts of the village lately, so I might have missed you just now. Tsunade. Don't be so frivolous, tell me what's going on between you and Muumuu. Tsunade's super strength punch warning.jpg. Mitarashi Anko. That's it. Tsunade. Mitarashi Anko. Okay, I said it. Mitarashi Anko. I've seen the future video before, and I know Muumuu can make meatballs, and my future self likes to eat them, so I went to his house myself mainly to try what Muumuu's meatballs taste like. Tsunade. You took my cabbage just to eat a few meatballs. Mitarashi Anko. Well, it seems, probably, maybe, that's what happened. Yamanaka Ino. Tenten. Haruno Sakura. Hyuga Hinata. Uzumaki Xianglin. Tsunade blew Anko out, and the girls immediately started to peek at the screen. I didn't expect that such a big melon would be blown out. It turned out that Muumuu moved to live with Anko. And judging from the time, Anko got the first blood. Little Sakura thought she was ahead, and she was happy even in the punishment space. In the end, she was still a step behind, and suddenly felt that the highest level in the group was not good enough. Ding! Congratulations to group member Mitarashi Anko, the level has been upgraded from LV1 to LV7. The benefit effect has been increased from 200% to 500%. Before the girls could sigh, Anko's stuck group level experience instantly soared, directly from LV1 to LVD, shocking everyone. Mitarashi Anko. Oh, I forgot about the upgrade. The benefit effect has been increased from 200% to 500% in an instant. The effect is really obvious. I think I can apply for the formal Jonin assessment. Tsunade. You seem to have only lived with Muumuu for 2 days. What did you do? Mitarashi Anko. That's it, Master Tsunade, you don't want to hear the details, do you? I don't care. Tsunade. Get lost. Muumuu is growing up now, and Wood Style has just awakened. I am worried that you will damage his body. Tsunade. I am Muumuu's guardian now. From today on, he will move in with me. Without my permission, none of you are allowed to seduce him, you hear me? Mitarashi Anko. Ha, but my meatballs. Tsunade. This is non-negotiable. Mitarashi Anko. I was thinking, can I also help you and live with you? Tsunade. Ha, you are really making me happy. A few meatballs make you like this, aren't you ashamed? Mitarashi Anko. That's because you haven't eaten Muumuu's food, it's really much better than all the food sold in the store. Uzumaki Karen. Muumuu's cooking is the best. The meat slices they sent me last time for the hot pot, I'm still savoring it, and the milk tea is great. Master Tsunade, you must try it if you have a chance. Tsunade. That's for sure, I'm her aunt, there's no reason why you all have eaten it and I haven't, what's that like? Tsunade. No, this is not the question, at everyone, did you hear what I just said? Haruno Sakura. Yes, Tsunade-sama. Yamanaka Ino. Got it, auntie. Tenten. Got it, Hyuga Hinata. Yes, Uzumaki. Even if I want it, I don't have a chance, crying. Mitarashi Anko. Actually, I feel that with Muumuu's physical condition, it won't be a big problem. Tsunade. Mitarashi Anko. Mitarashi Anko. Hey, I get it, even if Muumuu wants it, I will refuse, unless I get Tsunade-sama's permission. Tsunade. Don't blame me for being rude, you know after watching the video, I also hope that Muumuu can have more children for the Senju clan. As long as his body can hold up, I have no problem with you guys playing with him. Tsunade. But the premise is that Muumuu's body grows and stabilizes. Now he has just awakened the wood style, and his physique is in the process of transformation. If you absorb too much of his vitality, it will easily cause his foundation to be unstable, understand? All women. Understood. Tsunade's last words convinced everyone, the kind of convinced. Before, little Sakura, Ino and Tenten, who had always been vying to be the eldest sister, were all like quails in front of Tsunade, and no one dared to act rashly. Tsunade's power can be seen from Madara. At this time, Muumuu was still conducting actual combat training with Tenzo and several Anbu Jonin. Although he heard the message notification sound in the chat group, he didn't have time to watch it for the time being. After a day of actual combat training, Muumuu is now more and more proficient in mastering his own strength. Not only wood style, but also water style and earth style. Using the most appropriate ninjutsu at the right time, resisting the opponent's attack with the least consumption, or trying to exchange the smallest cost for the greatest result, this is the meaning of actual combat. Because of his wood style quality and a large amount of chakra, as long as he perfectly masters the power in his body, his strength will increase very quickly. After a day of actual combat, Muumuu has basically adapted to all the terrains created by Tenzo, and can also suppress them in turn with the cooperation of several Jonin and Tenzo. According to Tenzo's judgment, Muumuu has completely possessed the strength of elite Jonin, and is also the best among elite Jonin. As long as it is used well, some relatively poor cage levels are not Khonshu's opponents. So after the actual combat training, Tenzo directly announced that Muumuu's special training can be ended. Because Muumuu has practiced to this point, Tenzo can no longer help much, and there is no point in continuing the special training. Tenzo asked him to take a day off tomorrow and officially join Anbu the day after tomorrow. Muumuu had already known through the chat group that Tsunade was waiting for him at Anko's house. And even the luggage had been packed, ready for him to move to the Senju mansion overnight. But when Muumuu returned home and saw Tsunade, he couldn't help but be shocked. It was nothing, just that he felt the fierceness up close, and he couldn't stay calm. Tsunade didn't know what Muumuu was thinking, and when he saw him coming back, his eyes lit up. He immediately came forward and hugged Muumuu in his arms, almost suffocating him. But Muumuu just wanted to say that this breath-holding method could be used more times, and there was no need to pity this delicate flower of his. I am your Aunt Tsunade. Tsunade's slightly excited voice sounded in his ears. I'm sorry, I let you live alone before, and I wronged you. But from today on, I will make it up to you, and I will definitely let you feel the strongest family love in the world. Muumuu can fully feel Tsunade's inner joy and excitement, but he still remembers that this is the first time he meets Tsunade. Wait a minute. Muumuu struggled to peel his head out of Tsunade's arms, with a trace of vigilance and confusion on his face, wondering, what aunt, what family love? Can you talk properly? In the house, in addition to Tsunade, Anko has also returned, sitting on the sofa eating the snack meatballs that Muumuu left for her, and didn't pay any attention to the situation here. But Muumuu knew that 690, Anko, had turned on the live broadcast mode at the request of several little girls in the group, but this anchor was not very competent. In addition, Shizune and Tuntun were also here, sitting aside and watching silently. Shizune's face was also happy. She was on behalf of Tsunade was happy. I'm sorry, I'm too excited. Tsunade quickly reacted. Because she had watched several future videos, she knew Muumuu's strengths and weaknesses, not to mention knowing everything about him. So when she saw Muumuu, she felt a sense of intimacy. Adding this previously neglected and now only relative, Tsunade's excitement was self-evident. She lost control of her emotions and almost scared Muumuu. Muumuu, please listen to me. Tsunade took a deep breath and tried to calm herself down. But her action caused a violent roll in front of her, which almost made Muumuu's eyes go straight. Although Tsunade noticed this, she didn't care at all. This is her greatest pride, and she never hides it. Soon, Tsunade adjusted her emotions and slowly said, Muumuu, you are a descendant of the Senju clan, and the second Hokage is your great-grandfather. And I am named Tsunade, first Hokage's granddaughter. You should know that the first Hokage and the second Hokage are brothers, and they are both outstanding figures in the Senju clan. So in terms of seniority, you should call me aunt. This matter has been verified many times by the third generation, and it cannot be wrong. I am your aunt, your real aunt. The two of us are the only remaining bloodline of the Senju main family, and you are also my only remaining relative in this world. It's no wonder that Tsunade is so excited. Since her brother Nawaki died, Tsunade has sealed her heart and locked her love, and she has no expectations and hopes for this world. But now, a direct descendant suddenly appears. The heart that was wandering and helpless before suddenly has a place to rely on. The originally sealed heart, once unsealed, the emotions burst out, and it can't be suppressed. Even though you said that, I still find it hard to accept. Muumuu tried to maintain the reaction that a normal person would have when encountering such a thing, and a standard fan-shaped expression suddenly appeared on his face. 3 parts of suspicion, 3 parts of entanglement, 3 parts of resistance, and 1 part of expectation. He said in a faint tone, is it because I awakened wood style? I know that first Hokage used to have wood style, and I also know that his strength is very strong. After these few days of training, Teacher Tianzang also told me that I may be able to reach the height of first Hokage in the future, or even surpass him. So, is it because of this that relatives who have never shown up for more than 10 years suddenly appeared? If you are poor in a busy city, no one will ask you, but if you are rich in the mountains, you will have distant relatives, isn't that right? Muumuu's words can be said to be very CDFF hurtful, but this is the personality he set for himself. It's impossible that when we first meet, Tsunade says that I am her relative, and I immediately accept her and go home with her, right? Although it's not impossible, this kind of behavior will inevitably be looked down upon by others, at least it's a bit inferior in terms of human conduct. He, Muumuu, is also a man of integrity. It's not like that, Muumuu-kun. Shizune got anxious when she heard it, and immediately stood up and said in a hurry, don't you know that these years, Tianren? Shizune. Tsunade shouted at Shizune, and glared at her with a cold look, which made Shizune stand there like a thunderbolt. Tsunade said coldly with a gloomy face, don't interrupt, this is a matter between the two of us. Shizune almost suffocated to death for a moment. When Tsunade finished speaking, the aura and pressure on her body disappeared, and she gasped for breath. I'm sorry, Master Nasho. Shizune apologized quickly. 014309323 Filu 170,541,551. Having followed Tsunade for so many years, she knew Tsunade's temper very well. At this time, she also knew that she was overstepping her bounds, so she naturally wouldn't blame Tsunade for making a fuss. Besides, Her life as Tsunade gave it to her, not to mention that it was her fault. Even if Tsunade took her life for no reason, Shizune would not have any complaints. When Tsunade looked back at Muumuu, her expression instantly became as gentle as spring breeze. With a trace of pity, she said softly, I understand your feelings. If it were me, it would be difficult to accept it for a while. But please believe me, no matter who you are, no matter what your situation is, as long as I know your news, I will rush to see you as soon as possible. I won't ask you for anything, even, I will give you everything I have. Just because you are my only relative in this world. Tsunade said it sincerely, and couldn't help but hug Muumuu again and rub him into her arms. But this time, it seemed very gentle and very compassionate. Last time Muumuu didn't react, this time, reacted but didn't avoid it. Under Tsunade's tender offensive, steel can also be turned into softness. So Muumuu gently hugged Tsunade back and uttered two long-awaited words. Auntie. Shizune's tear point was originally low, and tears burst out instantly at this moment, and she covered her mouth tightly with both hands to prevent herself from making any sound. Poo-woo poo-woo. Tuntun called out twice in a low voice and twisted its fat body. I just don't know if it can understand human emotions. At this time, even Anko stopped eating and looked at the two people hugging each other with a complicated expression. She also lost her relatives a long time ago, and the scene in front of her also infected her emotions. Yamanaka Ino. Wow, it's so touching, I can't stand this scene. Tenten. Tsunade-sama is so gentle to the group leader, I really hope I have an aunt like this. Hyuga Hinata. This feeling is really good. Haruno Sakura. Hey, even if you flatter like this, you can't brush the group level experience. Yamanaka Ino. Broad forehead, you really don't have any human touch at all, it seems that you haven't been reformed thoroughly enough. Haruno Sakura. Get out. You should be reformed. Uzumaki Karen. I miss my mother, she used to be so gentle. Nadeshiko Takiwa. Congratulations to Kimu-kun for finding his relatives, congratulations to Tsunade-sama, the future will be better and better. Yamanaka Ino. Takiwa's sister is right, not like a certain broad forehead. Haruno Sakura. The female chatters also saw the scene of Tsunade and Muumuu recognizing each other through Anko's live broadcast room. After all, they are all little girls who have not experienced much, and this scene really touched their tears. Little Sakura is not unmoved, she is just pretending to be strong. She has always been a person who says one thing and does another. At Anko's house, Tsunade seemed to notice Muumuu's discomfort, so she gently pushed him away and chuckled, it's really like my brother Nawaki's personality. Every time I treat him gently, he will feel awkward and uncomfortable. You little boys seem to be the same. Tsunade smiled and flicked Muumuu's forehead. Her eyes were red and she was very happy. It has been many years since I have been so hopeful about life. Muumuu covered the place where he was hit, and said unhappily, I'm not a little boy, just ask Anko and you'll know. Tsunade was obviously stunned for a moment, her pretty face was a little red, she stretched out her hand and clamped Muumuu's head with her arm, and said unhappily, you are indeed not a little boy. You dare to make dirty jokes with your aunt casually, believe it or not, I will beat you. I forgot to tell you that I am your guardian now. Even if you get beaten, there is no place to complain. Let go, let go. Muumuu struggled repeatedly, but kept rubbing the big weapon with his head. This was Tsunade's own fault, and it had nothing to do with him. Muumuu, while hesitating, threatened, if you don't let go, I will be rude to you. Hehe, how do you want to be rude to me? Tsunade is also a strong woman, never threatened. Now that the relationship with Muumuu is basically stable, she doesn't have to be cautious. After the emotionality, the strong side gradually awakens. She knew that Muumuu was very talented, and she also admitted that Muumuu was a bit strong now, and with the wood style, he really couldn't be underestimated. But who was she? She was Tsunade, a little brat who had just graduated from the ninja school. Was he still thinking of turning the tables in front of her? Unfortunately, this idea didn't last long. The next moment, Muumuu clapped his hands, and a strong chakra emerged. Many thick branches appeared in the room without warning, and Tsunade was tied up and hung up. And Muumuu was very funny, controlling those branches and tying Tsunade into a big letter. This posture made Tsunade's face flushed instantly. She immediately burst out the chakra in her body, and the strange power was activated, and the branches were immediately broken. It was indeed Hashirama's grandfather's wood style. Tsunade sighed in her heart. Perhaps recalling the memories with the first generation, Tsunade, who was originally a little angry, stood there in a daze for a while. In fact, Muumuu only caught Tsunade off guard. Although he is now very strong, a few branches are not enough to fight against Tsunade's strange history. While Tsunade was in a daze, Muumuu quietly went around and came to Shizune. "Hello, I'm Muumuu." Muumuu smiled at Shizune and said, "I see that you have a good relationship with Aunt Tsunade, what's your name?" Shizune didn't seem to expect Muumuu to suddenly talk to her. She was so nervous that she was flustered and stuttered, "Hello. Hello, Kunjin. My name is Shizune. Kato Shizune." She seemed to be afraid of saying something wrong, making Muumuu unhappy and ruining the atmosphere. After saying the name, she remembered and added, "I am Tsunade's disciple and follower." "Nice to meet you, Shizune." Muumuu smiled again, then leaned close to her ear and whispered, "I think my aunt's character is not very reliable. Usually you should be taking care of her, right?" Shizune was immediately embarrassed and didn't know how to reply. Admit it, as a disciple, she shouldn't make up the master like this, and if Tsunade heard it, she would be miserable. But deny it, Muumuu said the truth. Shizune is not the kind of person who would lie. "Muumuu, I heard it all." Tsunade didn't know when she came back to her senses, and stood behind Muumuu, with a cold light in her eyes. Shizune was immediately frightened and her face changed drastically. Holding the piglet who also changed her face, she subconsciously stepped back a distance. But the person involved, Muumuu, was not panicked at all. He turned around and said with a smile, "I just said hello to the people around my aunt. We will definitely meet often in the future, right? Also, you have packed all my luggage. Do you want me to move somewhere?" Tsunade knew that Muumuu was trying to change the subject, but she didn't pursue it. She hadn't played with others for a long time, and she was enjoying it. "I almost forgot if you didn't mention it." Tsunade slapped her forehead and said, "As your guardian, of course I have to supervise you all the time. So from today on, you move in and live with me. 0. From now on, we will live in the house of the Senju clan, which is also your home." "Okay." Muumuu nodded and said, "The house of the Senju clan should be big and magnificent, right?" Muumuu didn't care about where he lived, and since Tsunade had made the decision, he couldn't object. Unless he deliberately went against Tsunade, the other party would definitely compromise in the end, but it was unnecessary. Hearing Muumuu's question, Tsunade was embarrassed and smiled. "It is indeed very big, and the location is also very good. In this respect, there are few places in the whole Konoha that can compare with our home. Yes, it is just big and the location is good. As for the question of whether it is grand or not, that is a matter of opinion." Shizune and the piglet Tuntun behind him didn't know what they were thinking, and both covered their eyes. "If you say that, I am quite looking forward to it." Muumuu pretended not to hear Tsunade's wrong tone, picked up his luggage and said, "Then let's go." Just after taking a step, he quickly remembered something and added, "Anko will move with us." Tsunade looked at the expression on his face, and it was obvious that Muumuu would not move unless she agreed. "Move, move, move," Tsunade said angrily. "You are so young, but you are already addicted to women. You need to be disciplined. I will definitely teach you a lesson in the future." However, Tsunade was still very relieved. His own little cabbage was not successful, so he abandoned his wife. This character is indeed from the Senju clan. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.